First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT / POISONRANA Live. You found us at postwrestling.com, whatever podcast app you are using right now, and we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling and youtube.com/@POISONRANAPod. This is the most exciting simulcast since 2001 when Shane McMahon showed up on WCW Nitro. Normally on Sundays we host a little show called POISONRANA Live where we talk about the whole week in the world of wrestling. But WWE, like they keep on doing recently, throwing a bit of a spanner in the works as they had their Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank show yesterday. Worlds Collide somewhat being NXT, so kind of falls into our department, our division. So yes, we thought we'd do a Worlds Collide post show and then go into some POISONRANA where we talk about everything else that happened in the last week.
Yes, we are Braden and Davie. We are up next, but we have our own show called POISONRANA, and every Sunday we do POISONRANA Live where we chat all about the other wrestling. So maybe while listening, search POISONRANA in your social media or podcast app, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and check out all the other shows that we do because boy, do we do a lot of other podcasts. But every Tuesday on Post Wrestling, we are your NXT friends.
And
today will be your NXT amigos.
Yes. Sí.
Amigos.
Sí, hola, hombre.
We'll be your lucha friends. We'll be your amigos, amigas, all that stuff. So hello, everybody. We're going to talk about some lucha libre because this is what it's like when worlds collide. And we're going to talk all about WWE Worlds Collide with AAA Lucha Libre versus sort of WWE NXT, and what's going to happen with WWE purchasing, now owning AAA wrestling, and this is their first show in the new umbrella of WWE that has the crossover here and like the name Worlds Collide. That's exactly what's happening. And I got to shout out that we have a Patreon, but we just reviewed the original Worlds Collide 1994 show. We found it on YouTube for free, and I'm sure WWE this week has uploaded a lot of it.
I'm pretty sure there's a much better quality one on WWE's YouTube now, but just for the sake of us doing the show, we were just a little bit ahead of them this week.
Yes, maybe because they edited some things, this and that. But we're fresh. Watch this. Like we just reviewed it this week, and this show on Saturday, WWE, they're really heavily focused on talking about the history of that show and what it kind of the butterfly effect, if you will, of what that caused in the world of wrestling and like the North American pop culture of pro wrestling at the time, all the way back in 1994. So really cool to see them like paying tribute to that.
Yeah, I thought that was a big feeling I had of this show was like, yeah, definitely honoring that show. It made me feel like, yeah, I'm so glad I watched that this week because I kind of understood a lot of those video packages and when they were referencing the 1994 show and all of that. We'll see where this relationship goes. We know how these things tend to turn out with WWE. And there was a line from Conan in the like video package where he says, like, they're not going to Americanize it. And we're like, well, we'll see come like a few Triple Mania times from now. But I thought they did a pretty good job last night of keeping it like it felt kind of authentically AAA. It felt like a crossover show. It didn't feel completely WWE, even though it's WWE production. And it did have that sort of Latin flavor to it, shall I say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It had a showcase of all the other stars and things that have been going on in the world of AAA. And, I can't say AAA has been the most popular, company for a lot of viewers, especially outside of the Mexico market, but there still is. And, in the past, we've reviewed some Triple Manias. We always have a ball when we go back and look at some in the past few years, especially. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think it's kind of cool seeing some of these cast of characters and wrestlers that never really got that shine. And here, they treated it like it was a big deal. Like, hey, we're going to be on a WWE produced show. This is a dream for a lot of these people. So I think it was pretty cool. And I do hope WWE does seem to handle this pretty well going forward. But we're gonna go through this whole Worlds Collide show just as we usually do with an episode of UpNXT. But then following that, we're going to also talk about Money in the Bank, and then we're also going to talk about whatever else is going on in the world of wrestling and everything. And iguanas.
Oh, of course.
So hot right now. POISONRANA, we're Poison Frog. But today, drop an iguana. Okay, there might not be an iguana emoji, but there's a lizard emoji, and it looks kind of close enough. So drop a lizard, drop an iguana in the chat. Shout out Mr. Iguana Man, who's sweeping the nation by storm with his iguana.
Little bit of housekeeping before we get into the review. We do a show called UpNXT on this very feed, the post-wrestling feed, every Tuesday night where we cover NXT. We start at 10:05 p.m. every Tuesday and give our thoughts on that and some other stuff going on, some of our thoughts on Raw, etc. Every Tuesday. We also have a Patreon, POISONRANA, on poisonrana.ca. You can find the link to that, where we review a whole lot of shows. Braden already mentioned that we reviewed the 1994 When Worlds Collide show. We also have a bit of a show called The Champ Is Here, where every month we're going through every single one of John Cena's title reigns. Recently, looking at the 9th reign, which started at WrestleMania 26, Cena versus Batista. We were joined by Benno from Grapple and Michael Hamflet from What Culture, also known as Benno and Hamflet from In Your House. They were great guests. We had a great chat about a pretty shitty time in wrestling. And we're coming up to the big one next month. It's going to be the pipe bomb, John Cena, CM Punk in just a couple of weeks. But we don't just cover wrestling. We do some movie reviews as well. Most recently, we looked at Friday the 13th to kind of honor this new, Final Destination. So we do a lot of horror films as well. Final Destination, the original film, to kind of honor the new movie that just came out. Had a lot of fun. We do love our horror over at POISONRANA. But we also have a little show called Up Yours, where if you are one of our top patrons, one of our world champions, our family members, you get to pick absolutely anything for us to review. And this week on the Patreon, we'll be joined by Justin to talk about part 2 in the Cornetto trilogy. It is Hot Fuzz.
Did we skip part 1?
We did a live watch along of Shaun of the Dead way back when in the pandemic.
I don't know if I was part of that, but I definitely love Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if it's a Hot Fuzz take, but I don't love it as much as I love Shaun of the Dead. What's the third movie in this trilogy?
World's End.
Oh,
that's really not a hot take. That Shaun of the Dead is better than Hot Fuzz. That's not a hot take at all. But
I'm shocked.
Hot Fuzz is still a fun movie.
Yeah, still a really fun movie. And Justin, who's picked some really good stuff. We cover tons of stuff. We recently chatted about Big Trouble in Little China. We've talked all over the place with some crazy movies. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I love Nick Frost, Simon Pegg. So the movies, the wrestling, patreon.com, $5 to become a friend. You get hundreds of shows, including all the Champ Is Here episodes, all the retro wrestling, best match ever, Triple Mania's in there somewhere, as well as a whole lot. Best match ever, Rey Mysterio. We've covered a lot of lucha actually on our Patreon. We're big fans of the lucha here at POISONRANA.
We are your NXT friends as well. We have a show called Was Next, where we've gone right back to the beginning of the Full Sail era of NXT. And we've been going episode at a time. We just had NXT TakeOver, the very first one from 2014. Mm-hmm. And this week on the Patreon also, we'll be talking about the fallout of that show. So we'll be talking about probably the episode after this, because I think it's possibly a video package one. So we might look at the two of them kind of combined, the important bits. But That's a super fun show that we've been going through. But if you're not sure yet, if you don't want to take the plunge, you don't want to commit to that $5 a month quite yet, you can just hit subscribe to POISONRANA, our free feed. It's in your Apple, your Spotify, YouTube, whatever. And we have a whole bunch of free shows on there. As we mentioned, every Sunday we go live around 3 p.m. and talk about everything that happened in the week of pro wrestling. A lot of AEW talk, some stuff from Raw, SmackDown, stuff going on in the news as well. But on top of that, we have some free shows. We upload some old shows we've done. We've got our Batman reviews on there. We've got our Halloween reviews on there. We've got a few best match evers we've put up for free. We've got a few episodes of The Champ is Here. So you can kind of siphon through the shows and find some things that might take your interest. And if you like what you hear, go and subscribe to our Patreon.
Absolutely. Yes. Appreciate all the listeners out there, Postmarks and our Poison Pals and our friends all over the world. And also, if you maybe are putting all your chips in one basket, if you're going all in, or should I say y'all in, please reach out. We will be in Dallas for All In. We're going to talk about some announcements, some big match announcements, but we would like to meet up with some people, because I have got some messages from some people, and we always like meeting our listeners and friends and stuff like that. So we will be in the Dallas area July 12th for All In. I saw they announced AEW karaoke. We love to throw our wrestling karaoke parties, but we've literally land while that party is happening. So I don't think we're going to make it.
As much as I want to sing Pink Pony Club with Brian Keith, I don't think it's happening that night.
Yeah, I really want to sing Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls with Takeshita, especially while I look into his eyes. But maybe it will have to happen another day. So if anyone wants to set up a date with me and Takeshita in any other means, sure. But it's super cool that they're doing that. I think karaoke is another weird thing I like, that when mixed with wrestling, it's great. And who knows, maybe we'll have to do some one of our wrestling karaoke's parties in the near future, coming soon. But more on that maybe at another time, another date. But yes, follow us again on the socials, because POISONRANA Pod, Davie and myself, we're on Insta, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that. And we'd love to meet up. We love the listener connection and everything. And we want to have some fun. I want to hear some country music, and we're definitely excited about that. But we also, like we said, are from Toronto, and we're going to talk a whole lot right now about some lucha. And I got to shout out our friends, Demand Lucha in Toronto. If you've heard us talk about this show, it's because we love it so much. And they are doing another show really soon, in just like less than 2 weeks, Thursday, July 19th, a lucha party in Parkdale. And you will catch the BDE there, rocking the White Claws, getting silly. Arez, the new Demand Lucha champion, he's someone who's wrestled a whole lot down in Mexico. Boys with Gringo, he's on the card as well, as so much more. And if we love to meet some listeners at these shows, but if you've never checked out Demand Lucha, please do give them a follow on all the socials as well.
Yeah, they have some great talent, a lot of great local talent, but the imports they bring in, we've been lucky enough to see some really great wrestlers.
Look at this show.
Luchadors. We have
Vikingo.
Lince Dorado, who was the last Demand Lucha champion, who had to vacate it to go and help out his friends in the LWO against Mr. Iguana, which we'll be talking about. But yeah, we've had Psycho Clown at that show. We've had a bunch of great wrestlers, a lot who are in AEW now as well. So always worth the money of a ticket. And Parkdale Hall is just a great venue for wrestling as well.
That's also why I like this Worlds Collide show. I've watched so many of these stars on this show in our local Demand Lucha shows. Like half these stars I've seen already, and they had like a thing with AAA that was like an agreement, and it's cool to see them on a WWE stage. So Demand Lucha is usually ahead of the curve on the stars that seem to get picked up and everything. So you'll catch us there at the next one, but give them a follow, because we're good friends with them, and we always have a blast. There's a whole lot of wrestling in the city right now. WWE seems super hot right now. Whether you're a diehard, a smart mark, whatever you want to call yourself, it might not be what all these fans are going crazy for, but you can't deny that it's super hot and super popular. And therefore I find the wrestling itself right now, just your independence, your everything is just everyone's just wanting to get a piece of it. So it's cool that wrestling is cool. But let's heat things up and maybe jump to LA to talk about some worlds colliding, because this was a pretty fun show that they put on for free on their YouTube Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely. Worlds Collide from June 7th, 2025, live from the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. First of all, great venue. I love the setup for this. I love the kind of Aztec style pyramid video screen they had going on. The red, white, and green ropes, just, you know, and AAA in the middle of the mat. I thought just visually this looked very cool. It looked like a packed arena, which in California, this would have been a noon start. And, you know, those early starts, especially if you're off to Money in the Bank after, aren't always easy, but this crowd seemed up for it. I thought it looked great. And right from that first visual, I was like, okay, I'm kind of up for this. I'm up for this show.
Like, we've seen AEW use the Kia Forum, and it kind of looked weird, right? Was it because there's like a door in one of the camera shots where you just see people,
right?
Like,
yeah,
and it bugged me so much. I didn't quite notice it on this, but I did notice the Kia sign.
Must have had it set up the other way around or something.
I think so. Yeah, I really love the way this looked. You know, WWE has that production. They've been the game leader of wrestling, and when they get their hand, like whenever you see something now in their kind of production, you know, like it's kind of like AEW, like when the indies, but with production and money put behind it, but it's WWE, you know, years and experts and all this kind of stuff. So it's so cool to see Lucha Libre, AAA, but in WWE production and setting. And the crowd there seemed really happy to be there, even if it was at a noon start. People were ready and excited, and total flashbacks of this 1994 show. And I love the intro video. I think the only thing, you know, I don't know if I want to be the one guy complaining that I wanted a different logo on the mat, but Corona, next time you need the Corona logo right in the middle of the mat for a true triple you know, feel for those, you know. But I love the whole presentation of this. You know, it's World Wrestling Entertainment, and I think for once they're figuring that out. And you know, I really like the presentation. I'm not Mexican, I'm not Latino, but I felt something from watching this and them giving the respect to this culture in this kind of market of wrestling. So I gotta say hats off to them, and hopefully this leads in the right direction. But a great video, the Rey Mysterio stuff, the Conan, we'll get to Conan in a little bit, but the whole presentation and the video got me like really amped up for this show. And then they told me Conan was on commentary, and I had some other thoughts about that. But. So
yeah, we have this opening video with a voiceover. There's clips of like Eddie winning the title, unmasking of luchadors, the voiceover of the acquisition of AAA from WrestleMania weekend. And it's saying there's a moment when history is made, where destiny is found, where legends are born. And today you can feel it. It's in the air. It's in your chest. It's flowing through your blood. And then you have clips of like the modern kind of lucha talent, Vikingo, Stephanie Vaquer. We see clips of Conan, Guerrero again. It says Lucha Libre is more than just tradition. It's a revolution. It's about defying the odds. We see Rey Mysterio winning the World Heavyweight Championship. It says this is the time your time to stand on the world stage and show them the impossible. Take this day and burn it forever. Write your name in history. This is your chance, your moment. Tell the world this is Lucha Libre. And yeah, I thought an awesome opening video, kind of just showing all the history of Lucha, but tied in with today's stuff, and then showing kind of the people that have made it big, who have kind of broken through from AAA or other Lucha companies, going to WWE and then becoming world champions. So I thought it was a great opening for this.
Yeah, no, and again, like the Eddie winning the belt, it showed clips of like Eddie in that 94 show, Rey Mysterio in that
cutting
show.
the hair and all that.
Yeah, and then like clips of Eddie winning the title from Brock, Rey Mysterio winning it from Angle, Randy Orton, like showing the stars of Lucha that WWE have had in the past. And like Eddie and Rey Mysterio going down as two of the best to ever do it. So right off the bat is like, hey, these guys were from this company and these roots as well.
We then see that it's Corey Graves and Conan on commentary. And we kind of speculated on Tuesday who we thought would be on the call for this one. We said the possibility of Conan. Mike Tenay's name was being bandied about, but we didn't say Corey. And it actually makes a whole lot of sense because obviously his brother, Sam Adonis, has been working for AAA in the past, and Corey even saying like, yeah, we used to sit down and watch this with our dad. So he genuinely seemed pretty knowledgeable about it all. And
yeah, like, you know what he did? Like we were saying, like, is it going to be Graves? Is it going to be Vic? And Corey clearly knows a whole lot more about it. I mean, you got to give credit to Corey. You know what? I give all the credit to Corey, whether you like him or not, or whether you liked him or not on this show. Like he had an incredibly hard job, in my opinion, because not only are you talking about stories and characters that you don't necessarily talk about or follow, and you're probably doing a lot of homework to catch up on this, and I'm sure his brother Sam helped him. But on top of all that, the language barrier there, you got a tag team with Conan, and he's just sandbagging you from the first joke. Corey's like, it's gonna be a long night, and I believe that was a shoot. Like, fuck. All right, so yeah, he really like turned it up. He I don't want to say hammed it up, but like Corey turned it up to make it seem like this was important to him. So I got to give him credit for that.
I do think like Conan was interesting because there was actually some stuff I really liked about him. He's unlike Jesse Ventura, who comes in and has clearly just been given a sheet of notes about certain wrestlers and they're like, just hit this line over the head or whatever. Conan clearly knows his stuff. Obviously, he does work very closely with AAA and knew everything about everyone there. But he also seemed, or at least did his research well. He seemed to know the WWE people and what was going on there. So I thought from that perspective, he was good. But it was a lot of, not knowing when to speak and when to let a moment breathe. There was a lot of talking over sort of, it's clear it's going to be the finish of the match. And he's talking about the Garza's dead granddad. And you go like, okay, we'll put his death on hold for a second because Cruz del Toro is about to do a splash or whatever it was. And I do think he just sounded a little like low energy as well, which I didn't particularly like. But I didn't hate Conan. I sometimes enjoy just these wacky pairings. Like Jesse Ventura can be awful on those Saturday night's main events, but I wouldn't have it any other way because he's very entertaining with it. I just felt maybe, as much as I'm not a huge fan of three-man booths, I thought this would have helped with having a three-man booth where they could have just directed more to Conan, have two more lead in color, and then go to Conan for that extra like seasoning of, okay, tell us about Mr. Iguana or Pagano or whoever.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have had Booker T really. Okay, maybe not Booker T. I meant to say we should have had Rey Mysterio on commentary. Rey Mysterio was a big key part of this show. Obviously, he comes out and makes an appearance and everything, but he's on the poster. Like he definitely, once he's healed up, I imagine we get a PLE in Mexico sooner than later, and we do another one of these big shows. They at least promoted the next Triple Mania. It feels like there's a Triple Mania every other weekend down in Mexico. New fans will understand. Old fans definitely understand. But like Rey Mysterio could have added to this, like almost like a ECW one night stand kind of thing. Like, hey, this is Lucha Libre, and we're celebrating that tonight. Is kind of what this was, and doing it back in California is a nice little touch to it.
I was actually going to say I had a real ECW one night stand feel to this show where, it kind of felt somewhat authentically AAA, but with that WWE flavor. But also that first one night stand, if you were to book it, you'd have Rob Van Dam in that main event. Unfortunately, he was injured.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been exactly the same case here with Ray. Yeah. And they're like, we need Ray on the show, but he's hurt right now. So some weird like echoing there.
That's crazy. I didn't even put that together, but yeah, that's totally another thing that makes it kind of feel like that show. I would do Rey Mysterio versus Penta as soon as he's healed up and make that like some sort of big special team match or something. I think maybe they would have went with Vikingo versus Ray. I'm not quite sure, but either way, like they'll have to do some more shows and go back to Mexico and do something down there. I would really look forward to that, and that would make people want to maybe travel down there. We're Canadians; we like to fly down when it's cold to warmer places, and that would be a great excuse. I know AEW's got their show coming up. Super cool that they're doing that, but it's in the summer. It's hot here already, so like we want to go when we want to escape. And that's definitely something I think maybe some super fans would, but I got ECW One Night Stand because, ECW One Night Stand, you got like Balls Mahoney. Here, I got Pagano falling a lot. So it was like, you're getting the real true AAA experience.
We go to the ring where we have the national anthem of Mexico sang by Dera Barrera. And I'm going to say right off the top, and I'm not going to repeat it, I apologize for any mispronunciation on this show. We also see Shawn Michaels and Maricela Pena, the president of AAA.
Oh, I just thought the WCW girl fell off real hard. No, this looked like Donald Trump hair to me. I'm not trying to be offensive, but this hair was nuts.
This almost looked like it was her own mask, just like sat on her head. And next to Shawn as well, they just look like some evil supervillain couple. Right here, look.
They almost like,
What is this? What's going on?
It just freaked me out for a sec. Like both of them. We're not shaming or anything, but it was a jarring view. First of all, like Shawn.
Oh boy,
Shawn looks a lot different than Shawn used to look, and then also like this woman here with the bright pink jacket and this like almost Joe Dirt like wig on. I don't know, but bless them. I'm not trying to be mean, but it was like, oh, okay. And then Triple H standing next to Blue Panther. Blue Demon. Yeah. Like it was weird. I guess Triple H couldn't tell what color his mask was because he doesn't see color. But pretty cool visual here with these WWE DX hanging out with AAA. Sure.
We also had Lillian Garcia out there who sang the U.S. national anthem. Always does a good job of that. Shout out Lillian. And then Rey Mysterio comes out sporting a beard.
I like it. He's hurt. He's got that injury beard going on. Little not quite a beard, but like a little something like the facial hair, right? Rey Mysterio, the deadbeat dad gimmick, maybe he goes into that, like leans into being a heel for once in his life, maybe second time in his life. But I like the look from him, and I want him back in the ring. He's one of the GOATs for me. I'm happy to see him here.
I don't know. For me, this was like seeing Sting when he's got the beard and makeup on. It's just...
he's still got him. At least he's not braiding it, whatever he did. I mean, we just saw Shawn Michaels without hair and a cowboy hat. So yeah, our favorite wrestlers are getting old, but it doesn't
look bad. Nice look. I'm just so used to the
that mask is probably worth more than our fucking life.
Oh, it's
that mask is probably like Gucci'd up or something for no reason.
We know Ray's a drip god.
Yeah, he is. Honestly, like one of my favorites of all time. So I love to see Ray here, and he comes out as like the lucha. He is the lucha hero, right? Like he's the biggest to break away from just being famous in Mexico. He became like most famous mask or whatever he says. It's true for sure.
So Ray speaks in Spanish for a little bit. I did see some criticism online, like, oh, where were the subtitles or translation or that. I really didn't mind it. I just thought, the rest of the world have put up with English promos all this time. It's time for the shoe to be on the other foot a bit. And you got I think you got the gist of what he was saying anyway. But there were a few times in the show where there was just Spanish speaking with, there was no like Chris Charlton here on commentary who's giving the translation or whatever. But I didn't mind it because it just felt authentically like a Mexican product. I thought
there wasn't anything that you needed to know, and if there was, it was translated.
They'd let you know.
Even later, they would have certain interviewers that we've never seen on WWE TV before, and they would ask and talk in Spanish. But when it came to something that actually was like, oh, this is up next, or like what a serious question, they would say it quickly in English as well. So
there's also stuff they don't translate, which is like, you get it. They go like, Pagano numero uno. It's like, okay, I don't need to speak Spanish to know he's saying that he's number one, or for example, he then says, I used to think Lucha Libre would only be seen in Mexico, but I'm proud to be part of the revolution of Lucha Libre. And this is the one thing he fell in love with as a kid. Just a nice little opening here. Get the crowd to see Ray and put the show over. And then we go to our first match of the day. I was going to say evening, but of the day. It's the team of Lince Dorado, Cruz del Toro, and Dragon Lee representing the LWO. Shout out Joaquin Wilde, who got knocked out in the main event taping earlier this week. I hope he's doing well.
Oh man, all the blessings to Joaquin Wilde. We're a big Wild fan. Shout out DJZ forever. But this guy has been like a low key, like awesome talent. And I know this one again probably really hurt him to miss this show because of just the significance of it. So all the power and blessings to Joaquin Wilde. We love that dude for real. And I know the boys went out there and thought of you for sure. But I mean, this is where we got Lince Dorado coming back to make an appearance here. So we have what is he called?
He's been producing for NXT, I believe.
Oh, okay,
right?
Cool. The
Lucha House Party.
Yeah, but the Lucha Cat, the Golden Sphinx,
yes.
or whatever, something like that. So
the I'm gonna fuck up Izzy's dad guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. Yeah. Cool. I think we had one animal on this side of the tag team, but it won't be the last one.
We had two. We had a dragon as well.
Oh, true. Right. Yeah. And shapes. And stars, yeah.
Against the team of Aerostar, Octagon Jr., shout out Octagon and Octagon Quito, who were in the 1994 Worlds Collide, and Mr. Iguana. Who'd have thought the news cycle this week would have been dominated by two names, R-Truth and Mr. Iguana, but it happened.
Yeah, like this is crazy. Mariah May showed up on NXT and is just an afterthought because Mr. Iguana has taken over all the hype and who is this guy? He's in WWE. I think we first saw him a few years ago on a AAA show we watched, and anytime someone sees what this guy is, you're just like, what? And then you watch him and you can't help but kind of crack a smile and be entertained. And I think it's safe to say that Mr. Iguana Man, as I call, he stole the show here today and the internet. It feels like he's become the new meme wrestler overnight, and WWE is quick to put up a WWE AAA Mr. Iguana t-shirt. So my birthday is in, about a month plus. So anyone who's thinking about what to get me, Mr. Iguana t-shirt, fantastic. And I'll just say it to get it out of the way now. I appreciate everyone who keeps messaging me photos of Mr. Iguana saying Halloween costume? ? Because I got about 10 of them this morning. So thank you. And I'll put it into consideration. Davie, you could be Octagon.
Sure. Yeah.
Be Lince Dorado.
I'll be Pagano. Yeah, I think we always say if you're an aspiring indie wrestler, put your name or your nickname on your trunks so everyone knows who you are. If you're an aspiring luchador, pick an animal.
Yeah.
Any animal. And be that. I've called dibs on Lucha Donkey. That's mine. But it works. And just right away, how can you not be like fascinated by this guy in his green, like Goldust-like attire with the face paint and the iguana attached to his arm? Just brilliant.
What's the name of this? La Yesca?
Yeah,
La Yesca.
I think so, yes.
So he's got, on top of being covered in green, he's got these like reflective glasses on, the fancy jacket. He wrestles just in like green gear, but he's got the face paint, and then he's got this iguana puppet that he uses named like Yeska. And my Google Translate says it translates to Tinder. So maybe he's also swiping right.
Looking for a man.
Yeah.
We see Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan front row. Cruz del Toro and Octagon Jr. start. They show some respect by shaking each other's hands. There's a lot of lucha arm drags and leg sweeps and a bit of a stalemate when Mr. Iguana and Lince Dorado go at it. Iguana brings in Laesca, did you say his name? And bites the hand of Lince with it and tries to pin Lince using the Iguana. Aerostar and Dragon Lee are now going at it, and the AAA team send the WWE team out of the ring with Iguana and Octagon hitting tandem tope con hilos, and Aerostar follows up with a tope suicida. There's then a magistral cradle from Del Toro to Iguana, and a bit of like a almost like Toriano spot, just like rolling around the ring, a bit of a comedy spot trying with this pin here. And then Iguana hits this crazy looking spinning power bomb. Like yeah, this guy is a gimmick, but I was impressed with actually some of his wrestling. He looked pretty good in here.
So fast and snug, right? Like he's very Mr. Iguana is very Orange Cassidy. Yeah. It's like almost like you're fucking with your opponent, but at the same time, the gimmick only works because you're actually really clean at doing these lucha things and making things look good. So yeah, I know he looks ridiculous and he's supposed to, but wow, he's got some crazy lucha offense that we saw here.
He then brings in the Iguana again, traps the hand, and looks like he's going to do one of those running up the turnbuckle arm drags, but instead jumps off and leaps to hit a Rana onto Dragon Lee. But this allows Lince to grab the Iguana and starts to beat him up. Now, we saw Lince in his WWE run was never really a heel, but in his like indie run, he was playing a heel a lot of the time and was definitely like a heel champion in Demand Lucha. And here doing the most heelish thing you could do, and that was beating up this Iguana, and even hits a standing shooting star.
A Spanish fly on the Iguana. Yeah, this was fucking killing me. I was losing my shit. I just think like this is mixing everything I love in, like, you know, we got wrestling, we got crazy colorful characters, and a guy beating up a stuffed iguana puppet. Just absolute love this whole bit, just because like the crowd also reacted the way anyone watching, like, what? How could you do this, you terrible human, or I guess cat in this match? But yeah, great spot.
I mean, I guess a cat would attack an iguana, wouldn't it?
Who would win in a fight?
Big though, yeah. It depends
iguana or a cat?
Oh, I saw some pretty big iguanas when I was in Mexico.
There are some big ones. Yeah, there are some big ones down there, but I don't know, like a giant. Because then if you take the biggest cat, you could you're talking about like tigers and lions and bears. I mean, well, tigers, lions, and big cats. But
100 iguanas, 1 gorilla. Who wins?
I don't know. I went to the zoo yesterday and I saw lots of big iguanas on that. It was a great day to see green iguanas and stuff. But I do think a cat might beat an iguana in a fight. But in this case, it was not the case.
Mr. Iguana is obviously very upset by this and hits a beautiful looking helicopter head scissors, which this crowd like lit up with this move. Was great. Starts to now whip the WWE trio with the iguana, and then sort of throws the iguana to one of them, and they're acting like it's a real one. They're like,
it's like hot potato.
Yeah. And then eventually the WWE team triple super kick Mr. Iguana. There's a double stomp to him, and then a tope con hilo from Dragon Lee, shooting star press from Lince, but Aerostar just breaks it up with a splash of his own. There's then the rolling cutter from Aerostar, a super kick from Dragon Lee, and then this crazy looking, it was like a tope headbutt from Mr. Iguana. Del Toro then runs the ropes as Aerostar leaps up to the top rope and just dives with his own headbutt to the floor. And then a beautiful looking tornillo from Del Toro to the floor with so many rotations. And then Octagon and Lince start trading chest slaps in the middle of the ring. And Octagon Jr. follows up with a fall away slam moonsault, very like Bandido Hangman Page-esque here, for the win in 14 minutes, 5 seconds. And your Triple R team win in a super fun opener here.
Very fun opening match here. You got exactly what is a snapshot of what Conan's telling us on commentary. Like, this is Lucha Libre. This isn't your typical American wrestling. And right off the bat, your opening match, 15 minutes of just nonstop, chaotic, high flying lucha action. And then on top of that, you got in the good mix of some comedy with Mr. Iguana that worked perfectly. This crowd ate it up. And so did I watching this. So just to put you in a great mood, like really fun match, almost my match of the night, honestly. Just super fun, fast-paced, nonstop, and it helped give you a snapshot and an opener to some of these characters. And again, I think Mr. Iguana is such a character that's so infectious. Once you see it, you kind of want to like, oh, what is that? I don't like, kind of silly, but most things in wrestling kind of are, right? It dances on that border, like Orange Cassidy, like I said, but it works so much. Like I'm laughing, but then I'm also getting into some of the great action as well. So it was a really good starting opening match to put you in the mood for what was to come.
I think as well, having Iguana in the opening match kind of just showed you like this is different, right? We have, and they even said in one of the video packages, they essentially allude to CMLL. They don't mention it by name, but they talk about there being two companies, and they say that sort of AAA is very much more like WWE. It's about spectacle. It's about big characters. And I think it was important to kick off the show right away with a ridiculous character like Mr. Iguana.
He's in everyone's hearts instantly. Like right away, everyone's like, who is this? And like anyone who was familiar with his game, you're kind of like happy because I'm seeing so many people that like, again, we had joked about him in the past few years about like, hey, he's a pretty cool AAA character, a weird gimmick, and right away you see this guy, I think you become a fan. So I hope that he's proving all the haters out there who probably told this guy, hey, an iguana puppet, yeah, okay, buddy. And he's got a WWE official shirt that's probably sold a few today, so good for him, and good for all these guys. I thought everyone impressed. Aerostar, we've seen him before. Dragon Lee, every
I really, for me, I thought Cruz del Toro kind of sort of stole this match.
He did it for Wild, right?
He
did it for his boy.
Yeah, like Raul Mendoza, winner 3 times in a row of Best Enhancement Talent of the Year in NXT in our end of year awards. But he really showed up here, and I think you even heard Conan in one of the moments I quite enjoyed him being like, he was like, "Hey, this Cruz del Toro guy is really good. Like, we should be seeing more of him." And yeah, I would like to see, the LWO team once Wacky Wilds back, like having a serious like tag team push, because they should have been in there with, you know, Machine Guns and Street Profits and DIY and all that, because they steal the show. I think whenever they're out there, they're always like, oh, these guys are super impressive. But yeah, great opener here.
Opening match, like really, I think this was my second favorite match, but out of just the classic AAA ridiculousness that sometimes you get in those character-driven stuff, like, yeah, Mr. Iguana stole the show for me today, and I think maybe we get more of him. Maybe we get more of these shows going forward. But I could see him being one of the main guys they start to push, maybe just a little bit more. But awesome to see that happen for him. Great gimmick. What a ridiculous gimmick. But wrestling is ridiculous, so you love to see it.
We then see Dominic Mysterio gets on the mic to very loud boos, and he calls out Octagon Jr. and says, "I see you're a big Rey Mysterio fan. That makes sense because he is a deadbeat, and I am your champion." He then gets fired up. He's speaking in Spanish. Octagon Jr. gets in his face. Dom holds up his title, and Octagon shoves him. Sorry, Dom shoves him, and Octagon just grabs him, drags him into the ring, beats him up. Dom escapes and then grabs the mic and says, "I'll see you at Money in the Bank, and I'll put this on the line." I kind of like this as a way of adding a match to Money in the Bank and having the two kind of connected. I thought this was pretty good.
I really like this. It got the crowd so into it because Dominic Mysterio, basically, you know, Lucha royalty, the prince of Lucha here, and everyone knows who he is. On top of that, because he's like a WWE star, he's the IC champ. But him calling out was perfect because during the tag match, Conan on commentary actually did say quite a few times, like, this guy loves Rey Mysterio. This guy, I think he said something about his parents, something about a flea market, and then he would take all the money he works for and then go buy different Rey Mysterio shirts and stuff. Like, he was obsessed with Rey Mysterio, and he's a wrestler. And I think that tied into Dominic basically wanting to fight this guy. But the crowd really got into like this brawl, this scuffle. And then especially when Dom drops, "Yeah, I want to fight you at Money in the Bank later today," the crowd really like ate it up there. And I kind of got excited to see like, wow, they never really do that kind of thing. Like just take some luchador and they're going to put in Money in the Bank PLE. That's a pretty big deal. We kind of talked about it on our Retro 94 Worlds Collide review, but Octagon, Pentagon, all the different shapes and sizes and numbers and gimmicks in AAA, but the mask is outfit is quite similar to Pentagon. But I do remember Octagon and Octagon from like the older days. So it is kind of funny seeing the different similar like lucha masks and stuff, but he wouldn't disappoint later on the night either.
we get another video package talking about the formation of AAA, and it's kind of a like talking about Antonio Pena, who's the original president, and says that in 1990, the Lucha Libre was at a crossroads, and in 1992, that all changes, and Antonio Pena starts AAA. He moves from another company to start his own company and brings some luchadors with him. Sounds very like the
Noah
All Japan Exodus as well. Says it super changed Lucha Libre, and the focus was on spectacle, colorful masks, international superstars, women, and minis. And just showing loads of clips from over the years and some more from that Worlds Collide 94 footage. And then
we got to see the name, the translation of what AAA wrestling means. We got a little video. Assistance, advice, and administration, Lucha Libre.
So catchy.
Just so exciting.
So catchy.
Name. I guess that's why they went back to just AAA. Yeah, we'll go with that.
We see Mascarita Sagrada and Latin Lover ringside, and that Mexican OT. I don't know who this guy is, but I am familiar with the other two. So
was Mexican OT, they mentioned he was a rapper, I think. They said he wasn't necessarily a wrestler, but he was like a hip-hop artist, I think. But Sagrada, I definitely have seen before. And Latin Lover, Lucha. Yeah.
Sagrada was in that opening minis match.
Yeah. And Latin Lover, epic Lucha wrestler back in the day. So cool to see that they, again, sprinkled these like historic people throughout the night. People got some shine. I think it was nice.
We see both women's champions at ringside, Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton. And that leads us to our next match, which is Lola Vice and Stephanie Vaquer taking on the team of Dalys and Chik Tormenta in our women's tag match here.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Tormenta wearing the mask as she comes out with. I've learned that she had to unmask in AAA years ago, or a while ago, and I'm used to watching her wrestle in this mask on WOW Women of Wrestling. So shout out all the wowzers out there, but you would recognize this is how she wrestles on this. So this was definitely an even bigger Worlds Collide for me because I'm getting NXT, WWE main roster, AAA, and WOW all in one women's tag match here today. So yeah, the worlds were colliding.
This is where I thought Conan was actually really good in getting, because we've seen Chik Tormenta and Dalys on NXT TV, but really don't know a whole lot about them. And I thought this was where Conan filled in the gaps really well. He's saying about how Dalys is the wife of Negro Casas, and that and he puts over how like important he is and in Lucha Libre, and that he actually trained her as well. And there's a great line here where he says, "If you see these two women fighting a bear, help the bear." It was pretty good.
Yeah, he said something about how Dalys helped train Stephanie Vaquer, and that they had her first match was against Dalys, and in culture of Lucha Libre, that means Dalys is Stephanie's madrina, which means like godmother, essentially, right, or mother or whatever. So I think that's a pretty cool little backstory here as well.
Lola Vice comes out wearing Cuban flag inspired gear, and them going on commentary that she she's a Latina but doesn't have lucha background, but her like strength is in her fists and his strikes. There's a gory special counted into a pin attempt from Vaquer. She teases the devil's kiss, but Dalys, in quite a great counter, just manages to get completely on her feet with the legs still wrapped around her neck. So then she's in like an electric chair and dropped face first onto the turnbuckle. There's then a wheelbarrow bulldog combo from the AAA team, and then a 619 from Vaquer. Chik Tormenta lands this nasty strike to Lola and applies a half Boston Crab. Vice fires back with her rapid fire kicks and yells, "I'm a Latina," hitting a running hip attack to both women on either side of the ring. Chik Tormenta then takes out Lola with a huge clothesline to the floor, which allows Dalys to take advantage. This is where Negro Casas is ringside cheering on his wife, Dalys, as Stephanie tags in, hits Eat Defeat, and then running Meteora in the corner, followed by a dragon screw leg whip. And then in the moment of the night, we get the double devil's kiss from Lola and Stephanie. And this crowd, they got the memo. They know what to do. They're all going, ah, ah, ah. And then Conan, with line of the night, says, sounding really sad and disappointed, why did they stop?
Why'd they stop? He was very upset that they stopped. I think he was not alone on that sentiment. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, Stephanie's got this move so over. Booker T obviously seems to be the catalyst of just taking this move into the next level, where this move has become a draw. This move has become part of the act where you can't wait to see it and do that along with it. And then now also having Lola do a double version of it, the Super Devil's Kiss. But what a great moment in Worlds Collide history. Wow.
Lola
great.
then hits a crossbody to the floor. Stephanie counters this kind of torture rack move into a pin attempt to, I think this was Tormenta here, kicks out, but then she hits the SVB and pins Chik Tormenta, winning the match in 9 minutes, 37 seconds.
It was really cool to see Lola and Stephanie. I think Lola had some shoes to fill here, just like to really step up. And like, she's obviously got the MMA background and everything, but I think I think I liked it a bit more than I thought it was. It wasn't necessarily the best match on the show, but it had some cool moments back and forth. And again, seeing kind of a bit of a crossover was pretty interesting. Stephanie Vaquer has become quite quickly one of the biggest stars in WWE, and that's why she's been pulled up to the main roster really quickly. But broken record, that move is just a backbreaker. Every other move she hits is like this finisher-esque move, but the move she chooses to win the match with is not even a lucha tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. It's a butterfly into the lift. Like, I don't ever think anyone would ever win a real fight with this move, because no one would. It's not like, it's just nitpicking, but like, I genuinely think that is one of the worst finishers going, and she's one of the best wrestlers going today, right now. So that is still my one thing.
They're pushing her to the moon. 3 matches in 20 hours is insane.
Yeah,
and one of them being a ladder match. So
yeah, no, like hats off to her. That was what a feat to do that.
I thought this was cool, but it never really reached that next gear. I was pretty impressed with Dalys in this match. I thought she looked good, but I did feel like in this one that you could tell Stephanie she's got a ladder match in just a few hours. It felt a little reserved, and Tag can obviously cover that a little bit. I definitely want to see Lola she kind of went on the back burner a little bit in NXT, and I would like to see her heated up a bit, especially now we've got some women moving up that, because I think she connects with the audience pretty well, and she's, a bit of a different style with the striking. I'd like to see more of Lola. Whether we're going to get to a Lola, oh no, Stephanie's moved up now, so you're not getting to a Lola Stephanie match, but I'd like to see more from her moving forwards.
I love her theme song.
Yeah.
I love her entrance. I love her theme song. It's supposed to sound like a Shakira song. It sounds great. I love it. So I'm always catching myself dancing a little bit that's why she dances, because it's just so catchy when she comes out. But yeah.
We have Vero Rodriguez backstage, who is a Mexican sports writer and TV show host, and she's doing the interviews backstage, interviewing Lola and Stephanie after. Lola calls Stephanie La Primera and just kind of shows her admiration for Vaquer. And Stephanie is asked if she has enough energy for tonight, and she simply says that she will be Miss Money in the Bank. I liked that we had different interviewers backstage for it made it feel like a different product from just WWE if we had Byron here asking the questions.
Absolutely. I like this whole different feel of it. Again, WWE production, but completely different takeover here. We're having interviewers who I don't recognize and are speaking in a different language, but I loved it. I liked this different sports feel of this, treating it like this is a AAA show. So I did like this. Again, didn't understand half the stuff they were being asked in some of these things, but it didn't matter. It's wrestling. Yeah, I won. It's great to be teaming with this person, et cetera, but cool.
We then had Chuy Martinez are you aware of Chuy Martinez?
Chewy?
Yeah.
I know Chewbacca. That's the only Chewy I seem to know. Blue Chew?
So looking at Chuy Martinez, he's a like film and TV producer, I think a radio host and wrestler. It looks like he's involved with Evolve as well on Tubi. But his one of his wrestling personas is MAGA Chewy. So
MAGA Chewy.
MAGA Chewy. So maybe joining American Made down the line at some point.
Right. Or every wrestler
or that
on this roster. Maybe not this roster, but I wouldn't necessarily hold your breath.
It was interesting that this show's going on while I don't know if you're aware of all the kind of like riots and stuff that were going on in LA yesterday due to ICE. It just timing was very unfortunate.
Well, has anyone checked on Layeska? That's kind of fucked up. That's like really like I actually did not know about that at all. So we are saying there was riots the day
before. Protests and things, I think, like mass all over LA, I believe. I've not looked too into it, but quite a lot going on there.
Then you know what? Then that makes me love this show even more. That makes me love that we're getting some culture from some a Mexican wrestling company getting some shine this weekend. Because
apparently I'm just looking at the news now, and it's just like the National Guard are now coming into on Trump's orders. Like it sounds pretty fucked and scary there. So if you are in the area, please look after yourself and be safe and love each other wherever you're from. In this fucked up world. So he's interviewing Chad Gable backstage, and Chewy kind of brings up you're in different territory now. You've been criticizing all these luchadors, but now you're in the Lion's Den. And Chad goes, Lion's Den? Are you kidding me? This is a second home to me. I went and studied the dark arts of Lucha Libre, and now the people embrace me. I embody the spirit of Lucha Libre, and I am embracing the greatest luchador in the history of Lucha Libre. He says that El Grande Americano will walk out tonight as Money in the Bank holder, and that he will walk out as AAA Mega Champion.
Yeah, we kind of said the weeks leading up to this that was it not backwards having Chad be the one face him, but the gimmick is that he hates luchadors, so he wants the title. But wouldn't you want Grande Americano so that he can take the lucha title because he's supposed to be his lucha thing? So I think they maybe were which one should Chad be in and which should not? Because later in the night, Americano Grande is in the Money in the Bank match, and they play into obviously the double duty thing. But I like this gimmick. I think Chad is easy to love to hate, and obviously here he's playing a American made gimmick, very strong, not MAGA Chewy, but leaning that way. And this show is all about a bunch of Mexicans and Lucha Libre and other culture, so it plays into he's the bad guy, the super villain American, and it's kind of flipped it here, right? All those years ago, Eddie Guerrero came in with the the American gimmick being an American Latino, so it was kind of whoa, what the hell? So here he's just nah, I'm in LA. He's wrestled here, right? This is where he had the Olympics. If I'm not, I could be free. They were mentioning that because he comes out and he's getting booed later, and he's like, "Bitch, this is my house actually." No, this is where I wrestled before. So it was kind of a cool. He played the cool American villain, which you don't necessarily see in WWE because it's usually the, I'm referring to me the Muhammad Hassan kind of thing, where the Americans are usually the good guys in this situation.
We have a video package for the Legado del Fantasma match. I kind of criticized NXT this week for not really being a strong go-home show. I was entertained by the episode, but didn't really push a whole lot for this show. But what I enjoyed on this was how these video packages were just essentially doing the build of the match. It was stuff we haven't necessarily seen on TV, but each match had its own little story going into it that they just set up with these video packages. And here it's Legado, Santos, as he's always doing, saying they hold the legacy of Lucha Libre and they will establish who owns the world of Lucha Libre. And then it just cuts to the AAA team who are like, we know you have a plan, Legado, but we're going to spoil your plan. And Lucha Libre isn't owned by one family. Lucha Libre is for everyone, essentially.
Yeah, I think maybe when they announced some of the matches, it was just like some tag matches, some wrestlers from one company versus the other. And of course, wrestling fans love to ask, but what's the story? But why are they fighting each other? Which we need to know for some reason all the time. But they made a good deal quickly of like covering that, being like, well, these guys are 3 WWE luchadors, and now they're facing 3 AAA luchadors, and that quickly became the story.
And they're all like second, third generation here with Legado, and just putting over that a little bit more. Conan was good with that in context, bringing over the Gazas and Santos' father, who he was familiar with, and all that kind of stuff.
And then Pagano saying, "We came to your house to make the party." Yes. Love that translation there, but yes.
So the team of Pagano, Psycho Clown, and the son of Dr. Wagner Jr.
Yeah.
The Dr. Wagner.
It's one of the longest names, right? The son of El
Just be called Steve. I don't know.
Just like Wagner. Just Wagner would be cool. Just something. I know what I get that wrestlers love to be El Hijo, all this kind of stuff. But like, there's got to be a line.
When you're the son of a son,
we're really
wait till this guy has a kid.
Yeah, just change your name to Wagner in some shape or form. I'm sure it'd be fine. Like Rey Mysterio Jr., WWE were like, hey, what if you got rid of the Junior? And it worked out fine. Just you're still honoring your legacy of your family, but this is the one everybody's kind of been raving about, right? This guy Wagner, he's wrestled. He's had a hell of a last little year or so. Like he's had some praise with some certain matches and stuff. But this was just wild. Seeing the match graphic alone here, where it's Legado, who we've watched a lot of in NXT, taking on Psycho Clown and Pagano in a WWE show.
Psycho Clown, the star of our one clip on Botchamania.
You got him falling off a chair or something.
But again, similar to having like Mr. Iguana in the opening match, here having just Pagano and Psycho Clown on your screen. Pagano especially, a guy I never thought would see on a WWE broadcast.
Pagano made it to WWE before a lot of other people.
Oh, man.
I still don't believe it actually happened. I'm still in shock, but great
to
see.
You had to have the like true spirit of AAA on this show at some point.
I was gonna say they really try to hit home with some of the commercials for like Triple Mania. I think the line was, if WWE WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling, then Triple Mania is the World Series of Lucha Libre
World Cup.
World Cup of like Mexican wrestling. And I'm like, yeah, you're hyping up Triple Mania so much that if anyone were to go back and watch old Triple Manias, even from this year, last year, a few years ago, it's going to have that Triple Mania charm that we got a little bit here in this 6-man tag.
It wasn't, they did promote, I think it's Triple Mania 38.
369, probably.
They promoted it. They didn't say where it's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be on YouTube like this show was. They just kind of put the website. But they had the line about the World Cup, and then there was a commercial for the FIFA World Cup as well, which will obviously be taking place in Mexico, US, and Canada.
Okay, so Triple Mania, Toronto, Canada. Book it, yeah. We're getting the World Cup, right? Sort of.
We are, yeah.
Kind of, right. I want to see more. AAA has been doing the YouTube shows lately, even before this whole thing. Like I know that's how some people watch AAA on their YouTube. So it's cool if they continue doing that because again, it'll just get more. Like this was a free show on YouTube, and they got a lot of views on it pretty quickly, obviously. So good for them.
It starts with the AAA team offering their hands to Legado, who refuse. Conan brings up that at Triple Mania, there's going to be a tag team championship match, which Los Gazas are going to be involved in, as well as Pagano and Psycho Clown, and hints at there being a TNA team involved in this as well. Now, if I was booking, I would put the Rascals in that. That sounds really great. It'll probably be the Nemeths, but yeah, I'd love to see the Rascals in that role. We see Psycho Clown, who comes in with a high cross and then a pop-up elbow to the face of Angel, followed by a power slam for a 2. They then have with both members of Los Garza doing a whole stand and switch sequence with the 3 of them with Psycho Clown, which leads to Psycho Clown hitting a double German suplex to both of them at the same time, which was pretty impressive. And then a tope suicida off the apron through the corner of the turnbuckle to Santos on the outside. And then we get Pagano. He comes in and hits a double drop kick, kind of, and right away Corey's on him. He's like, oh, you're not going to get any style points from Pagano, but I assure you what he does hurts. And it's like...
Yeah, himself.
You're telling me. He then hits a fucking shitty-looking flapjack.
Like, shout out Legado for really trying to, like, make it look... They'd, like, try to go forward by turning it into something else, but it was not pretty.
He does, like, we see, like, Ray, when he does the, like, Phoenix, does the tiger feint kick to just, like, evade a move and spins round and, like, goes behind him and hits his kick. This is not what Pagano did here, but he attempted it. Just this shitty tiger feint.
Okay, like, Pagano is a guy dressed as almost like a
he's Vampiro, isn't he? He's like
a
old
scary
Vampiro.
Pennywise the Clown makeup, whereas Psycho Clown is wearing like a mask. But Pagano wears like face paint. He's almost like a Lucha Libre, Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin kind of thing.
Yeah.
They all like to crash and burn, particularly Pagano, definitely doing the crashing and burning a whole lot of the time. So bless him, but he was kind of a little all over the place. And like this move we've seen wrestlers do, you said Ray Phoenix or like Rey Mysterio or any of these really fast high flyers, Will Ospreay, etc., where they're doing this move and it kind of makes sense of why they would do it. Pagano looks like me after 6 Coronas trying to do the 619. That is what basically I was like, dude, give me 6 beers and I think I could do it better than you in this one particular spot. But I'm sorry.
He then, this was pretty cool. He has this like tope suicida into like a cannonball, like through the ropes to the floor, and Santos pulls Berto out the way. So Pagano just eats shit. We don't see like this, like a back bump like this so often in WWE. Like we expect this from a Darby Allin. So this was kind of cool to see. This allows...
Sorry. Like that's his whole the best stuff he did in this match was just kill himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Legado is then isolating Pagano, and with a line from Conan, he goes, Santos is the kind of guy that would steal your wallet and help you look for it. And then he turns to Corey, so do you. And Corey's like, you just met me, Conan. And he goes, no, but I can tell. There's then a blockbuster from Pagano to Berto, to try and get back into it, makes the tag to Psycho Clown, who hits a huge pop-up slam, gets Angel in the Tree of Woe, and Corey to Conan here. It's like, what's he going for here, Conan? Because it's obviously like his signature move. And he's like, yeah, probably like a basement kick or something. And he's like, yeah, but basement drop kick, Conan. He's like, yeah, cool.
Corey really tried to get a lot of things over and excited about, but unfortunately the baseball slide was not one of those.
Not one of them. There's then a code red to Berto for a 2, and then the AAA team all hit their dives to the outside, and then a bit of a hockey fight, all 6 men brawling in the middle of the ring. El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. hits a high knee in the corner to Santos, followed by a delayed Falcon Arrow, 1, 2, and Angel just breaks it up. And then this is where Los Garzas have, is it Psycho Clown up here in like a double military press on the top rope, as Conan is just talking about, the Garzas, their granddad died, and hold that thought there, Conan, because they're just about to do something.
Yeah, he also didn't have like the energy. I just felt like he was low energy the whole time. Maybe he's older and like whatever, but it just. Oh yeah, so the Garzas are, really exciting to watch here today. It's like, man,
as I said, as a third man would be fine. Yeah. Tell us about Dalys. Well, she's married to Ego Casas and whatever. Oh, cool. Anyway, back to you, Vic. It would be, but yeah, not so much. So they hit this double military press slam off the top, as Psycho Clown then hits the Psycho Driver, basically like a what's it called? the airplane crash to the apron. And then there's a moonsault from Angel to the floor from the top rope. That looked great. Pagano hits his dive through the ropes again. This time lands it. Dr. Wagner with a cannonball off the steps. And everyone is laid out except for Escobar, who is in the ring. He's gloating. And then he turns around and eats a running knee from El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. And then he does the Viva la Raza shimmy, goes up top for the frog splash. However, Santos stops him with an enziguri and then a super hurricanrana off the top rope. This is like both guys standing on the top rope. Looked great. Still a kick out. And then the Phantom Driver from Santos and Legado del Fantasma win in 14 minutes, 57 seconds.
El Hijo del Phantom beats El Hijo de Dr. Wagner. Let you know what, mate? EHDDWJ. Let's just shorten it to that, you know? Just
call him Doc, you know?
Dr. Wag right there. I thought the highlights of this match, actually, when Santos and Dr. Wagner Jr. here were fighting, I thought they were really cool with.
Like, I wanted more of that with those two.
I really liked, like, the last stretch of it was kicking it up with those two, really like on par with some of the counters and the strong moves and everything. So I think they were the standouts. But this got very AAA lucha. This is pretty standard. If you've seen like Psycho Clown, Wagner, and Pagano, well, Pagano and Psycho Clown tag, but Wagner's not usually part of this group, as Conan also kind of mentioned. But this was a snapshot of, like, you see a lot of these kinds of matches, the lucha style 6-man tags, etc. And Berto and Garza, like, they're pretty solid with some of these flashy moves, and they've kind of just been chilling. I think Legado hasn't done a whole lot on main roster, but they're always pretty entertaining when they can be. And I think this wasn't necessarily the best match on this show, but there was some cool stuff with this match. And again, I think the highlight was towards the end, Wagner and Santos, where maybe if we go forward, we should do a singles match between the two of them, because it would really be cooking, I think, if we got to see that. But still a fun match. There was some mess ups here and there, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt I didn't think this reached the level of the opening match.
No,
the opening 6-man. I do agree with Chris Jones in the chat, who says the only mistake on the show was the AAA guys should have beaten Legado here. I think you could have given Dr. Wagner the win here over Santos, or even over one of the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want more of. I thought Wagner seemed kind of hidden away in this match until the end. I would have liked a bit more of him and Santos going at it, but still pretty fun, and just crazy seeing like Psycho Clown and Pagano on WWE programming was pretty fun.
Actually crazy to see that, and maybe we'll see it again down the line. But more Psycho Clown and Pagano, they just look ridiculous. They're just evil clowns.
I love the bejeweled tongue in the mask of Psycho Clown.
He's got like the WWE.
Really cool.
He had like a WWE logo and everything. So
that was the other thing. Like Legado all in camo with a WWE patch on them, and they were like, "This is what Lucha Libre is."
Lucha Libre is WWE.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Triple H is in their
TKO.
corner.
Yeah,
exactly.
We get a video package about the original When Worlds Collide. Conan saying that this event had such an impact that people are still talking about it today. It was a groundbreaking collaboration between WCW and AAA. We see highlights from the show. Conan talks about being in the main event cage match and says that match helped him a lot in the US. And it was a way of the US finally seeing who we were as luchadors. And then he says they're not going to Americanize it. Call us back in a year's time, Conan, and we'll see. But says paved the way for the explosion of Lucha Libre in the US, and a statement that it belongs on the world stage.
I really like this as well. Again, we did review this show. We just watched it the other day and talked about it on our Patreon, and it's such an awesome show front to back. And it really did kind of set the stage a little bit. Like it was a bit of a domino effect of people seeing Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, a lot of these stars that eventually end up in your WCW, ECW in the 90s, and then eventually WWE champions, etc. So it is kind of a cool little snapshot of what was going on and how it was almost like it started all this other stuff and really put Lucha Libre on this big map. And it's an awesome show too. Again, if you have not watched this, you should definitely, it cannot recommend on our review. We were raving about the double hair versus mask tag match. Eddie Guerrero, Art Bar, Octagon, and El Hijo del Santo, which was awesome Lucha match. If you haven't watched it, should definitely go check that out. And then check out our Patreon review.
We see El Hijo del Vikingo backstage, who's interviewed, and he basically just says he's going to successfully defend his championship tonight. We see Savio Vega, Damian Priest, and Blue Demon ringside. Do you think they're all hanging out together? That's a hell of a rotation right there.
Wow. Well, yeah. I think they'd have a lot of fun out on the night out. Where would they go after? In LA, go party up with Blue. I hope he wears the mask. You know, if I was a luchador, I'd walk around. I'd go to the club in my mask. That'd be sick. People would know who you are or wouldn't know who you are. But if you saw Damian Priest, Savio, and Blue Demon.
Going to the Abbey, isn't it? That's what Pink Pony Club's based on, right? The Abbey, that's the famous club there.
There is a Pink Pony Club in California, is there not? Isn't there a real one? Oh, no. Okay.
Maybe now, but the song is based on the Abbey, I believe.
Well, that's definitely where they go. But I always love the lucha mask and the suit combo.
Oh, it's great.
Great. Yeah, we learned on the Worlds Collide 94 show that what the original Santos was buried in his lucha mask. And I'm like, that's fucking hardcore. That's some sick shit. I love that.
I want, when wrestlers go into politics, I need luchadors to go into politics, but they keep the mask, like President El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr.
Oh my God, you had president? Oh my God. Yeah, no. Oh my God. I think that would work. We've seen Kane in politics, but he doesn't necessarily wear the mask or stop talking. So maybe he should do those things and his politics might get better. But yeah, I want luchadors in politics. Book it, please.
We go to the NXT North American Championship. That means it's our show, Braden, and that's why it's on Up Next. It is Ethan Page defending the title against Javon Evans, Ray Phoenix. I don't know what's happening with my screen here. Ray Phoenix and Laredo Kid. As soon as this one was announced on NXT, we thought, oh, this is going to be great, and this was a whole lot of fun here.
Yeah, if you've been following NXT or listening to us in the past, Ethan Page winning the North American title just recently from Ricky Saints and injuring him in the storyline. But the storyline this past year has also been Ethan Page and Javon Evans. They've been beefing. He's been injuring people. He attacked him, and Javon and him kind of are revisiting this feud. But then you insert Ray Phoenix and Laredo Kid in here, and this is one hell of a four-way match, and you knew it would be just non-stop action from the get-go.
Conan's making it known repeatedly throughout this match. Hey, did you know I discovered Ray Phoenix?
Wow.
And Corey's like, yeah, I know. You told me. Page and Kid are sent to the outside, which leaves Javon and Ray Phoenix in the ring. And Phoenix offers his neck. It's like one of those, come on, give me a smack right there. And Javon winds up to strike him, but goes for a schoolboy instead. Phoenix kicks out. They start slapping each other. And Phoenix hits a crazy top rope arm drag. Ethan Page comes in and hits a Hurricanrana. I loved this.
He's kind of in his shout out Hamilton Tiger Cat's gear colors, sort of, kind of. So it's a Tiger Cat Rana here, but Ethan Page hitting some lucha moves got a great reaction out of me, and you could tell the crowd wanted to boo him, but at the same time they're like, I like what you're doing there.
Laredo Kid hits a huge top rope moonsault to the outside. Then Phoenix dives to the outside, and then this is when the crowd disappointed me. They chant, "We want tables," and Conan quite rightly goes, "Why do you want tables in a match like this?"
Yeah,
and yes, I echo that.
Absolutely right.
Page then dumps Ray off the top rope to Javon here, and then comes off top with a splash to Javon, Page leaving his feet again, comes off the top with a splash to Javon, and then grabs his hand, wrist control, and pops him up from the mat into a huge body slam. This looked very nice, which Phoenix then breaks up the pin. Laredo Kid comes sprinting in with a DDT destroyer to Fenix, which looked awesome.
I think, was this not by Rey Fenix? I think Rey Fenix hit this move. Like,
oh, is it Fenix? Okay.
I think we've seen him do it. They were like, it's kind of like a destroyer DDT. We've seen a bunch of dudes do it. I know Ospreay and stuff, but a Mexican destroyer DDT, crazy stuff.
Javon then charges and hits a huge dive over the top rope, taking Ethan Page out over the announce table. That looked great. And now Laredo Kid is hung up on the ropes, and Javon hits a coast-to-coast swanton leg drop to the back of Kid's head.
Crazy. Yeah, Conan shouting out Van Terminator. Very similar, right? Like maybe minus the chair and Bill Afonso holding it. But Javon going from ring post to coast here. Pretty impressive, but I noticed he landed on his bum, on his tailbone. You could tell that really hurt. You are launching yourself as far as hard as you can to make it, and you're selling it, but you're landing on your ass. And it looked like he hit his tailbone there, and I'm sure that really, really hurt, but cool spot.
He follows up with a crazy bouncy cutter to Fenix, but Page breaks that up. There's then the goodbye amigo, the running rope walk kick to the face of Page from Fenix, and then a top rope arm drag into a double stomp from Fenix to Kid. And then there's Fenix looks like he's setting up for the Phoenix driver, which I don't think we've seen him use in WWE, and changes it into like a vertical suplex into more of a side slam, emerald flosion kind of move.
Unfortunately, I think since coming to WWE, he's changed that move. I think they made him alter that. So before, he used to kind of do the Fire Thunder Rikishi driver, which in its own is a finisher, really. But they've made him change it into almost like a reverse DDT sidewalk slam.
He still does the knee to the head first, which always looks cool.
Like, to be fair, that you don't need to be doing that. Like, you do all these other crazy stuff. You don't need to be doing like the most violent dropping a guy on his head.
I think especially in a company where a lot of think in the indies and sort of even AEW, a lot of people are similar size, but you're doing that to bigger guys in WWE. It could go wrong. We've seen it go wrong with Mox, right? Yeah. There's then this gets broken up for a 2 count, and all 4 men are down. Page goes for Ego's Edge, but it gets blocked. Fenix hits a Spanish fly to Kid, and then the Ego's Edge is delivered to Rey Fenix. 1, 2, Javon breaks it up with a springboard elbow drop. Page sets up for Twisted Grin. That gets blocked. And then he shoves Laredo Kid into the top rope cutter from Javon. And then Page grabs Javon, throws him out of the ring, who lands on top of Rey Fenix, taking both of them out. And then Page hits the Twisted Grin to Laredo Kid and retains the North American Championship in 14 minutes, 53 seconds.
Yeah, high action match here. All 4 guys. I think I'd say WWE, NXT have really like hit home runs with these multi-man matches, 4-way matches. It's been a big thing, but I think just wrestling in general, they figured out the more excitement. It's basically a tag match that just minus everyone's hitting each other and everything. And they become quite chaotic, but they're really fun. And this is what you said, like over 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something. And again, just all the different fun stuff. I really enjoyed Ethan Page playing the odd man out here, the base god, if you will, but then hitting Ranas and some lucha stuff. I think that was pretty funny, but I love Rey Fenix. I don't necessarily think his run thus far in WWE has been stellar, but I know that when it finally connects and clicks, he'll be running like all guns blazing, because he's just an incredible talent. Every time you watch him, it's like, wow, how do you do that stuff you do? It's insane.
Like, let's just heat up Dragon Lee and have them go out there and have a crazy cuffs off exhibition match, and that's how both guys will just get over. Like, just throw it in the middle of a PLE for no reason, just to like get this crowd going crazy, because both are exceptional talents that haven't quite connected on the... I think the thing is, Penta is so different as a luchador, whereas so often we've seen in WWE, someone comes in and they're essentially presented as a Rey Mysterio clone. You know, we've seen that with Sin Cara, we've seen it with Kalisto, we've
Dragon Lee
and Rey Fenix to an extent here. And I think if you let them just wrestle, like, as I said, cuffs off, they will get over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Rey Fenix, once that finally clicks, WWE is going to have a great moment where they finally pair Penta and Ray together. And of course, for years, everyone was like, get the Lucha Brothers away from themselves a little bit. And Penta's just hit fire ever since coming to WWE. Like, just the coolest wrestler is finally in WWE, and it's totally clicking and making money and everything. And now his brother's in here, and it's not necessarily hitting the same way, but I'm just saying it's not hitting yet, because it will finally connect. And we know this guy is a star. Like, we know exactly what he's capable of. And you got a little snapshot of it here. Shout out Laredo Kid, also doing some fun stuff in this. And Javon Evans. I think my highlight of this match was Javon and Ray Fenix going at it with the tit for tat of counters and kip ups and fast paced action. And this kid's only 20. So one day we got to get Javon versus Ray, that one-on-one match, which I'm sure we'll get one day soon. But honestly, a really fun match. I don't know if it got to like the level maybe I was expecting it to, but again, some really crazy counters and moves. It still held my attention.
Yeah, I thought this was fun. It was kind of exactly what I was expecting. The three high flyers just doing impressive stuff. Paige being a great base, but also adding a bit of heel comedy in there when he's hitting the lucha moves. I think him and Javon Evans have great chemistry. I really enjoyed their NXT feud, and I thought that spun off nicely in this. And then Paige kind of stealing the win, as you'd expect at the end as well.
And Tuesday on NXT, it's going to be Sean Legacy from Evolve. We've seen a little bit of him on NXT lately, definitely stealing the show when we've seen him. He's taking on Ethan Page for this title. I don't necessarily see Sean taking it, but that guy's been pretty impressive as well. So book that guy versus Ray Fenix or Javon one-on-one, because I would really like to see that. But that's a match that is announced for Tuesday.
We then get the commercial for Triple Mania, which is coming in August. It will be Triple Mania 33. It's going to be the biggest one ever. They're saying that if WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling, Triple Mania is the World Cup of Lucha Libre, and says we've put on huge shows. We did 48,000 at Triple Mania 1.
48,000. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we did a show a year or two ago where we did the best matches of Triple Mania. And like, again, a lot of the stars that you see now in WWE and AEW, like, they have done big matches in Triple Mania history. And there's some really fun ones. Off the bat, we talked about some Rey Mysterio, La Parka, probably Judas Messias in there somewhere, maybe. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like, there is some deep history of some great lucha. And I like how they just print, like, if WWE were to do the same thing, it'd be like, hey, WWE WrestleMania is coming to your town. Every show is just called WWE WrestleMania. That's what it feels like when they're like, yo, Triple Mania. It's like, man, wouldn't this be like Triple Mania 6007 at this point? Like, holy shit, just every show, Triple Mania. Yeah, we have a new one coming up. Oh, yeah, when is it? 2 weeks. When's the next one? Well, we got Triple Mania after that in another month and a half. Okay, well, wait, what's that? What's the show after that? Oh, Triple Mania. Okay.
There's like the real Triple Mania, and then there's the like smaller ones.
They just keep calling it Triple Mania. But anyways, that's also a Triple Mania thing to do. So
we then, I want to give a big shout out to the video editor here as we get a video of Vikingo winning the AAA Mega Championship. We see him pinning a man, but we can't quite make out what the name is on the trunks of this man, and we can't make out the face of this man, and the man is not identified. But yes, Vikingo recently won the AAA Mega Championship off of an unknown wrestler, and therefore this adds even more stakes, this main event, as he will be defending that title against Chad Gable.
Yes, I also noticed that there was someone missing in that. They were so tight on making sure they did not show you who it was that this guy just beat for the title. But it didn't matter because the graphics and things advertising this match for the weeks prior said it was for the mega title anyways. Yeah. So people kind of put two and two together. And of course, the person we're referencing is Alberto Patron Del Rio, who I think it's safe to say unanimously, I don't like to speak for all wrestling fans, but we don't need to see him. Yeah, we don't need to see him anymore anywhere on our screens. Yeah. So I got a chuckle out of them doing their best work to make sure they don't even give him a time of day. There was a split screen second, I think maybe in the Vikingo highlight package of like some other stuff like Kenny Omega and Vikingo have had some matches and stuff. You got to see some like clips of some other stuff. So Kenny Omega making his WWE debut here, but also like they did not want to show you Del Rio is what I got out of this. So I got some sick enjoyment out of that.
It's because he's going to be joining Brock and Hulk Hogan in Vince's new promotion, right?
Right. Well, I don't know. According to Shane McMahon, that's all a ruse. But wouldn't Shane McMahon tell us that to get us off the track? So Del Rio, what would you have? Brock, Hogan,
Matt Riddle, I guess, Marty Scurll. David Starr, he can be in that promotion as well. Yeah.
Sorry.
So we go to the AAA Mega Championship, Vikingo versus Chad Gable. And it's interesting because Conan's putting over that, yes, Vikingo is known for flying, but he can wrestle as well. He's very comfortable on the mat as well. And we see that right away as Vikingo out-wrestles Chad, locks him in an armbar, and then starts, like, as he's holding the arm, clapping the hand of Chad, kind of mocking him. This allows Gable, who he does this incredible sequence where he's just spinning around with the like stand and switch, the wrist locks, the kip up, the leg sweep, and applies an armbar of his own and does the same thing, clapping the hand of Vikingo. Gable then leaps off the top but gets caught, and Vikingo goes for this swinging Uranagi, but that gets countered. Gable then sends Vikingo into the ropes, who does the like spin around the ropes thing, sending Gable into the turnbuckle, shoulder first, and then catches Gable with a drop kick. Now, Chad's like selling his shoulder after this, but I don't know about you, but it felt like after this moment, the match kind of just stalled for like a couple of seconds. It just, I don't know if he did like rock himself in the corner, but it just felt like for a moment that they were maybe like, wait, what is our spot here?
Yeah, like you know what, Vikingo is one of the fastest and most like crazy spot. Like he does stuff that you can't even think of to do, and unfortunately, once in a while, like those spots are really hard to do, and you're doing so much that it's almost like you have to reset where you were to get back to where you were going to go with it. And we've kind of seen that with some of those rope assist moves, right? Like it's not just him. We see it from other people, but specifically there's one where he like bounces backwards into the ropes. Again, we've watched him for a lot the last few years, and he has done this move in his itinerary or whatever, but he has messed it up a few times. And unfortunately he did kind of do it here. So I don't know if he necessarily got rocked, but I think he messed up the sequence. And
I meant Gable getting rocked.
Oh, Gable. Sorry.
Yeah, like he evades him and Gable goes into the corner and he's doing the classic selling the shoulder. But I don't know, just something for it. They picked it back up, but just something felt awkward in the middle here.
I know when Vikingo slipped up, Gable tried to sell it as if he was looking at the ref, like, what's he fucking doing essentially here? But and then I know Gable was selling the elbow that would come into play with commentary and Money in the Bank, and also perhaps a giant spot where he falls on it. So I think maybe they padded it on purpose.
Right.
So it may have been a whole kind of angle or anything, but I thought these two were going great. And I don't know if I misheard, but did Conan mention that Vikingo's dad, who I assume is a Viking because El Hijo del Vikingo, right, was also like an Olympic wrestler or something. So that's why he's got, I think maybe I heard wrong, but I was like, oh, okay. Because he was doing a lot of the technical wrestling and matching Chad Gable, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah.
There's then a crazy spinning head scissors takedown from Vikingo, and then something I haven't really seen before, a running Meteora through the ropes to the floor. Looked nasty. And then as Gable is getting back up, Vikingo hits a 630 off the top rope to the back of Gable. This is back on back here, spine on spine. This crowd went nuts for this.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you see this guy do the variations of flip, Vikingo loves to do the 630, but this one was like to the back of Gable, which we don't necessarily see him do. But imagine being someone who's never seen this guy and he's doing 630 rotations, sentons. You're like, what the? Like, he definitely is an eye opener.
There's then a running shooting star off the apron, but Gable gets his knees up, and then Gable pulls out a table. That'll come into play a little later on. And commentary are just going like, Yeah, it's AAA's a little bit more relaxed with the rules.
Tables,
it probably won't be a DQ. Probably it's whatever. There's then a bridging German from Gable as a pin attempt, and he's turning to the ref. That was Trez. That was Trez. And then Gable with an armbar over the top rope. He goes for a diving headbutt, but gets caught with a code breaker. Vikingo then hits a double stomp, and then he stood backwards on the middle rope, leaps, and hits a twisting 450 splash to Chad for a 2. This, it just looks nuts, this move. There's then a Razor's Edge, into a Dominator from Gable, which looked very nice. Chad goes up for a moonsault, but Vikingo moves. Gable lands on his feet, and then Chad hits a sit-out powerbomb off the top rope for a 2 count. This looked crazy.
Almost like it was slamming his head against the mat, almost like a pile driver off the top, the way this was a powerbomb, but very scary, but very insane to watch.
Vikingo then stands on the top turnbuckle, on the actual post itself, and leaps off with a Mexican destroyer to the apron. And man, this looked like Gable's head just hit the apron. And there was this sound that didn't sound like a butt hitting the apron. The thud sounded like a skull on the apron.
I've watched this back. I don't understand how he didn't
I don't know how
himself.
He's not dead.
I don't know how he continued the match. I don't know how he went on to wrestle that other match. I mean, maybe sort of because it's not the same guy. But what a spot! I've watched this spot back a few times now today before recording, and I still don't understand how he didn't hurt himself. This looks and sounds disgusting. The flipping destroyer on the apron. This guy's neck goes one way and the rest of his body goes the other. How? Wow. How did they make this look like this? And the guy presumably is fine, is safe, is beyond me. But one of the highlights of this match, absolutely nasty looking destroyer, a Canadian destroyer, Mexican destroyer. Canadians, we love the Mexicans. Mexicans love the Canadians. We lend them the name Mexican destroyer, but we all know it's a Canadian destroyer. But holy shit, what a move on that apron. That was absolutely crazy. If you haven't seen it, you have to see what we're talking about.
It's the noise. Nuts. That's the thing where, you can be like, it looks like he spikes his head, and then you go, but maybe he's an inch off. But it's the thud. I can't get out
maybe pro wrestling professionals here because it looked like he killed him with this move.
Gable is then put on the table. Vikingo goes up top, but Gable runs and pushes him off. And now Gable puts Vikingo on top of the table, climbs to the top, and Lars B in the chat says, it may be only me, but I love Chad Gable even more than before because his moonsault through a table felt like a tribute to Sabu. And boy, did it, because he comes off with a beautiful looking moonsault off the top, through the table. Looked awesome. The ref is now counting. Both guys are down. Both just get into the ring on 9, and now they're on their knees. They're exchanging slaps. Gable ducks a spinning kick and catches it, applying the ankle lock. But Vikingo manages to get back on his feet, gets hit with a German, but he lands on his feet. This time lands the spin kick. And then, it now looks like Vikingo is favoring his knee as he's selling, or I don't know if did genuinely tweak his knee at the end here, but leaps off the top rope with a diving Poison Rana. Meteora in the corner, setting Gable up for the 6:30 and 1, 2, 3. In 22 minutes, El Hijo del Vikingo defeats Chad Gable and is still your AAA Mega Champion.
Yeah, this guy is like a human highlight reel here, hitting all sorts of crazy moves that, again, if this was your first time seeing Vikingo, you were probably shocked and your jaw was on the floor. If it wasn't the 630 the first time, the flying springboard jumping reverse Poison Rana, what a move. The best move in the world, Poison Rana, obviously, but just insane. And I thought Chad Gable was the perfect dance partner here. He was doing the most to make this guy look insane. But then on top of that, Chad had some great offense and some great things too. Chad Gable has had a hell of a year and some change. He has just stepped up completely. And I think this was so much fun. You got the styles clash of the being the Mexican wrestling lucha libre show, but the heel pro-American who's like the Olympic wrestler, Kurt Angle type versus your like lucha star. And it was like a match made in heaven almost, with the styles clashing here. I thought both guys really put on one entertaining match, and I would love to see where people who've never seen him, how they react to this, and where we go with Vikingo and some of these other stars. But this match delivered for me. I was really looking forward to this, and it exceeded expectations, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I feel we're going to see more of Vikingo on WWE TV. Like, why wouldn't you if you've got this guy in your mix now? But Chad Gable he's been great. And I love this story that they're telling, that he just has never won a singles championship in WWE. He more than deserves it, but
sure,
it means it will mean a lot when he eventually does get that, whether that's as a babyface down the line or what. But I also love, he did it at WrestleMania against Rey Fenix, how Gable will pull out a move that he doesn't normally do just when it's on these big stages, and it lifts everything. You're like, wow, I didn't expect him to do that. It looks great. Yeah, I thought this was fun. There a couple of moments, as I said, there was a bit of awkwardness in the middle, and I am a bit concerned with Vikingo's knee. I haven't really checked the news or anything, because I don't get why he would sell his knee in the closing stretch. Like, it was right, like he'd hit his spin kick, and then it was going to be POISONRANA Meteora 630, and he was limping around. So I don't know if I don't get, it wasn't part of like story of the match. So I hope he hasn't done any damage there.
I mean, he's hurt himself a lot. I mean, look at these moves that he's doing. Yeah. They're crazy. Normal people don't do these kinds of things that he's able to do. And I'm sure it comes with the territory of injury prone. We've seen in the past, actually, we've watched a lot of his stuff on the indies. And
I mean, I'd say even in this match, because he got injured after that Kenny match. And I'd say he's not, like, his stuff is impressive, but it's not like he's not doing as much as he was.
Yeah.
Like, at that
he's toned
time.
It down. Yeah. He's toned it down.
And I think if he should incorporate more of this submission style and mat wrestling as well, because he's not going to be able to do all this thing forever. You can't just do 630s on the backs of people every match. Like, it's going to fuck you up. So
it'll catch up to you.
Evolving the style a bit, like we've seen with Will, like Will still does spectacular flying, but has a much more rounded game where he can rely on other stuff as well. But
this was the match of the show for me. This was the match of the whole day from yesterday, from
easily
WWE. Like, it really did deliver. I could see people talking about this towards the end of the year and everything, but I really enjoyed this match. It was the match of the night for me. I think the second match for me was that opening Mr. Iguana 6-man lucha showcase, because that was hella fun too. But
4-way as well.
Yeah. This whole card was honestly a whole lot of fun and really delivered for me, and it just felt fresh. I've kind of mentioned, like, the WWE product to me is pretty bland. It's pretty stale. It might be the biggest it's ever been, making the most money it's ever made. It doesn't mean it's content-wise good or great. And I think this was just a breath of fresh air that we needed. And it wasn't necessarily an NXT show. I know we had some NXT people on it. It just felt like a bit of a AAA show with sprinkles of WWE and the production and everything, but it really did hit. It felt special. It felt like if this is the direction we're going with AAA, then AAA is in good hands with WWE. At least that's what they want us to think off the bat. But
yeah, I'm definitely curious to watch Triple Mania this year. I kind of dip in and out with them. I can't say I've watched it every year, but I think I'm definitely curious to see it this year. I imagine we'll get, well, I imagine, we've got Los Garzas on that show. I imagine we'll get some NXT talent on there as well. Vaquer, most likely. She's just on everything right now. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of these down the line. I thought they did a great job of kind of educating a new audience on Lucha Libre, on the history and tradition of this company, making it feel important, putting over some new faces as, I'd say, Vikingo and Mr. Iguana being the stars of this show as new characters to a new audience. But Cool Gang Big B in the chat saying Gable is the guy. And yeah, like, I almost got very different match, but watching this match felt like watching Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville, where you just go like, you can give this guy anything and he's going to make it work. And I think he's going to have earned a lot of brownie points doing a show like this. And with the success of El Grande Americano and all that, I could see Gable being really featured over the next year and starting to rise his way even more up the ranks in WWE.
He has. This year has been crazy. Like whether like the gimmick of Americano Grande is working a whole lot. And you could easily have Chad be like, oh, you beat me, but why don't you try to face Grande? And then Grande could win the mega championship. And you could do a show where Vikingo's trying to get it back in Mexico or something along those lines. But yeah, he had a hell of an entertaining day for Chad Gable. If that is Chad Gable under that mask, I really do love what they're doing with that. And I think he's easy to love to hate. And then when the bell rings, like he's great. He's so good. So Chad, what is it? Ready, willing, and Gable all day, all the time. So I really like this show. This was really entertaining. This, like I said, breath of fresh air. It reminded you there's other wrestling out there. If you're sick and tired of watching Logan Paul or whatever the fuck WWE does once in a while, just you got something that was so different. And maybe it inspires you to go watch other stuff. And that's kind of, I think, what the whole deal was here.
I think just as maybe a nitpick or maybe something we can think about in like future shows is I would like them to incorporate a bit more of even the Mexican traditions. Like they said in the 6-man, like Corey kind of says, it's the rules are a little looser, but maybe like Tenay did in that 94 show, establishing, no, in a lucha tag, if you're sent out the ring, you don't need to tag, a new member can go in, and maybe making that a little firmer to just establish it's different rules in Lucha Libre. And I would like to see them like do a 2 out of 3 falls in a big match, or do a hair versus mask. Like if you were to do, I mean, you'd probably put it on a bigger stage, like a WWE pay-per-view, but Dom versus Ray, hair versus mask would be such a draw on one of these shows, I think, and actually do it in Mexico. Yeah,
Dom versus Ray, mask versus hair, where Dom has to shave his hair like Eddie did in the 94 when Worlds Collide, or he makes Rey Mysterio mask and take off his mask, which we've seen obviously WCW, but to let Ray finally kind of take it off as he kind of has on social media here and there, I think that would be a really special match.
He just does the emoji or the hand.
Yeah, he's just always like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to not wear it, but I get it. It's probably annoying and everything to wear it all the time and everywhere. But you could do Vikingo shaving those braids against Grande taking the mask off as well. But I think you're going to save that one for a mask v mask match when the reveal of Grande down the line to come. But yeah, you know what? Thumbs up from me. This was my favorite show of yesterday from WWE.
Easily.
Yeah. It just felt so new and refreshing. And even if you didn't know these characters, you're probably pretty intrigued, at least minimally like intrigued of like, oh, you know, Mr. Iguana was pretty cool. Vikingo was fucking crazy. Like you got a little snapshot of what's going on. And again, I can only hope that WWE does it justice and keeps the culture and everything going forward. And we'll see. Will we get NXT Mexico, AAA Mexico? Will they continue to do lots of shows? Time will tell. But thumbs up from me. Really, really like this show.
Yeah, this was my show of the week over everything that happened this week. Lars in the chat saying, this show made AAA look so damn good. I absolutely loved everything about it. Mr. Iguana is my new favorite wrestler. Is it legal to use a puppet in Mexico? Conan, yes. Chris Jones saying, Gable's slow turn into Kurt Angle would be awesome. The head shave should be next.
His hair, that's up to him, I guess. But either way, I think he is kind of.
I feel like he got implants. I feel like his hair is looking a little healthier than it did a year ago, maybe.
The QT Marshall.
Yeah.
The MJF.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to an end of the Up Next portion of the show. And we're going to be back in just about 5 seconds with your lethal dose of Poison Rana.
Poison Rana.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening to Up Next. We go live every Tuesday on Post Wrestling where we talk about NXT, but POISONRANA is our show where we talk about everything else in the world of wrestling. We usually go live every Sunday. I do think next Sunday is Father's Day, so I do want to see my dad. I should see my dad. So we might not go live next Sunday, but follow us for all the other stuff. Again, our Patreon, obviously, we have tons of shows, and we'll continue to do some shows. Like you mentioned, Hot Fuzz coming up this Wednesday on our Patreon. We're going to be recording as much as our Worlds Collide show just dropped. So check us out. We have tons of free shows, tons of shows on the Patreon, and we go live quite often with lots of other wrestling talk. And we talked about Worlds Collide because it was kind of an NXT show for us on upNXT, but then there was a whole other show for wrestling fans. WWE just taking over, TKO taking over, because not only was there Worlds Collide, not only was there Money in the Bank, there was also UFC. They were going all over the place.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like they take over when they really
did the good guy win?
Yeah, I think I don't know, but yeah, sure. So let's talk about some Money in the Bank. So I know you did you watch Worlds Collide live?
I watched Worlds Collide live, and then I watched Money in the Bank this morning.
Yeah, so I watched Worlds Collide last night when I got home, and then I watched Money in the Bank earlier today. And I kind of said Money in the Bank was definitely not as good as World Collide, but I didn't necessarily hate it as much maybe as I thought I was going to. So there's your plus. There's your review from me. It was all right, but still not hitting maybe the way WWE I think should be right now. So let's start with Money in the Bank and maybe work our way through this show,
sure,
if that's okay with you. Starting with the women's Money in the Bank match. I don't get as mad as maybe some of the other fans with all the logos of brands all over the place, but I did notice the Cash App logo on the briefcase was pretty funny.
I mean, isn't that great? Like, yeah. if you're gonna have a sponsorship, having a Cash App sponsoring the Money in the Bank, and it's even on the briefcase, which is, yeah, I don't mind it. It's
the only thing
like I take more and more of this over commercials. Just like have everything, have their gear be fucking littered with this stuff. Just the endless commercials are what kills me.
The endless commercials definitely would suck. So I guess that's better. But we just don't have Cash App here in Canada. So it makes me mad when they're promoting products that I can't use. I wish we did, but I don't know why our government hates Cash App, because it would make things so much easier. But anyways, that's just my ranting.
Yeah, women's Money in the Bank, some pushing some new call-ups in this with Stephanie, Roxanne, and Julia all in the mix, which was pretty cool to see. And then Alexa, Rhea Ripley, and Naomi. But I thought we say this a lot, but just kind of tired of ladder matches, to be honest. But I thought they worked a pretty good match here. There was a really scary moment where it looked like Roxanne just got dumped on her head on the ladder, but apparently it was a counter. It
was a Rana,
but looked pretty terrifying.
She's countering a power bomb with a Rana, but then the Rana, she's moving her body head first into a ladder. So yeah, it was pretty scary, but I think she was okay considering she continued the match. But
Vaquer with the Devil's Kiss on the ladder. I thought next to Rhea Ripley, I thought Vaquer had the biggest reaction coming out here as well. Like,
once we go to that match, that's going to be a huge match, right? Like Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer. We saw them tease it on Raw and stuff, but yeah, it's cool to see these two go at it, considering Stephanie is quickly rising the ranks and with the fans. Yeah, like a Rhea Ripley, right? Like we've seen her get huge.
And then, kind of as I think we predicted, Naomi winning the Money in the Bank, which I think makes a whole lot of sense with her new character and potential storylines coming out of it. I see that they tend to, cash in one pretty quickly. And we've been saying for quite a while, I think it's getting cashed in tomorrow on Raw for the men's. But I see this one being a bit of a longer story. I don't see her cashing in on Tiffany at any point. But if we get the title from Tiffany to, let's say, a Bianca or a Jade Cargill, it makes a whole lot of sense to pull the trigger then.
Yeah, I think we wait. Naomi is a good choice. She's been in WWE. Well, she was gone and then she came back, but it's totally been working. This whole character change has been something that's been good. And I think it's a bit like a bit of a reset here. I don't know if Stephanie, Rox, or Julia necessarily needed the briefcase, being so new to the main roster. I didn't really like this match that much. I'm a little bored of the ladder match stipulation, but I didn't think anything got to levels where I thought someone was actually going to win. I felt like they moved away from that so much in ladder matches where everyone's trying to do the spots and everything. But this one didn't necessarily hit for me. Considering the cast of characters too, I was expecting maybe something a little bit better. But I do think it's just ladder fatigue is a real thing.
There are so many tropes in wrestling, especially in WWE, that just drive me mad. And all over this women's match, there was so often where they're just staring up at the title for minutes, like not doing anything, just getting that visual of looking up at the title. I'm like, just get the fucking ladder and climb it. I'm kind of with you. I didn't find this very memorable, apart from kind of those two spots I brought up. I'm happy to see Naomi win it. I am enjoying this new character. I think this gimmick will work with her character. And also, as they were putting over, like she's been in, I think this is her fifth. I think she's been in more of these than anyone. So it's cool to see her get a moment. And I think this character is definitely working for her. But I just thought it was cool seeing, Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne on the big stage. But I can't say this is a match I'll probably ever revisit or remember much about.
Yeah, I think it was really cool seeing these new stars, and I think they're in good hands with Stephanie, Rox, Julia in the mix at the top. They'll all be champions eventually in WWE, and I am happy to see them. This was a ladder match. There's a lot going on. It didn't necessarily click as well as some of the other ones, but I am happy Naomi wins this, and I don't know where we go with Stephanie, Roxanne, and Julia. If there's so many different people they're trying to push all at once, like Stephanie's on a different show than these two, like they moved some around.
Stephanie and Rox are both on Raw.
But then we're gonna have a draft soon anyway, so like,
yeah, I mean they could move around. I like what they're doing with Roxanne right now. With as much as I am bored of Judgment Day stuff, I quite like inserting Roxanne into that. It makes her a featured character every week. Who she's gonna get over that way while you're keeping her away from titles and stuff, and she'll get over like she always does with her wrestling. I think she's one of the best wrestlers in the company. And, as soon as she's having those matches against she's already had great matches with Io and Rhea, but when they're on a bigger stage, I think that's right. I think Julia is the one who's struggling right now. Obviously, the language barrier is always difficult, but we have seen your Ios and your Asukas get over. But I feel she feels less defined, and I think it's been the case really since she turned on Stephanie in NXT, where I'm still not sure if she just turned on Stephanie because she wants the title or if I'm meant to take her as a heel now. I don't know what her character is at the moment, and she's the one I think they need to find something with, because I think they're doing a all right job with Stephanie and Roxanne so far.
Yeah, I think her time will come. They'll figure it. They got to figure it out, but bringing a lot of people up at the same time, like there's only room for one person to be champion at one point, and this and that. So I guess the draft will also reset some things and rejig where we think some of these wrestlers will be. But again, Stephanie, Julia, Roxanne, the women's division is going to be fine in the near future, because those are three stars. But I didn't necessarily love this match.
It's still the thing I'm most excited about in WWE right now is that women's roster, across all the brands, really.
I don't know. I'm excited about Wheatley Vodka, because talking about commercials in these pay-per-views, I can't help but love this. We don't even get Wheatley Vodka. We're not even in America, but this whole commercial was about Cody Rhodes being American. And
was this the one with Cody talking to Brandy about a Yazoo's?
Yeah. That was on his podcast, but here he is talking to just people, good Americans.
I love you hear him slurring as he's saying it.
Right.
He's like, you spent money on them, and what? Why are you keeping them hidden away?
He's had too much
sipping on his
mule. Yeah, his American mule, I guess is what they'll be called.
Too much of that gives you heartburn. The mules. I love ginger beer. I love mules, but
the American Nightmare is on our menus at our parties. You made the American Mule, and it is his drink, and here he is drinking them. So, but too many of them. JR's drink too, right? JR.
He does he likes Crown Royal and a mule and
Cowboy emoji.
Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe like Maker's Mark. Yes.
Tom Phillips, is that
Tom airplane guy?
Sully?
Sitting here thinking about you on this.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of Captain Phillips. Yeah. All you needed to say was airplane neck pillow.
What is he? Tom Hannafin. That's his name.
Tom Hannafin. What? Tom Phillips. Oh, man. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah. We then go to our next match, which was made earlier in the day. Dominic Mysterio versus Octagon Jr. for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, again, I really like the way they set this up at Worlds Collide, where Dominic was just being a dick, and then they get the brawl and the big pull apart. But he was pretty impressive, Octagon Jr. here. And then in this match, all these fast lucha stuff. He's hitting all these crazy things, and Dom's trying to keep up and evade him. And even Dominic was pulling out some dirty moves. The Michinoku driver looked really tight, and I like when he does the 619 as well. Like, I think Dominic has creeping up as improving in ring a little bit, but obviously he's still playing the heel, so you don't want him doing all these crazy flashy lucha moves. But when the time comes, he does kind of pull some things out. And here he is winning with a frog splash. Word to his dad, his poppy, Eddie Guerrero. Word to Art Barr. Hitting the frog splash here was a nice little touch. Obviously, I know it's one of his moves, but I thought this was a fun match, and I think it was a nice first impression and a weird like left field move for WWE to put Octagon in this position without like having a story previously till Worlds Collide. So a cool move. I liked it.
Yeah, I just thought the novelty of this was great. And I do think it's time, like, you know, there are still people out there saying that Dom can't wrestle, and I really don't think it's fair. I think he's been great, and to watch him improve like in front of us this whole time, just the whole evolution of this character, just being a smiley nepo baby with Ray and the tag team to the Judgment Day stuff was so great for him. Then just I love his gear that is just like inspired by all these different luchadors, like his family, Eddie, La Parca, and you mentioned on our last show, like his new tattoos with all the different lucha masks on it. Like, I think it's very obvious that he isn't just like coasting off his father's name. I think it's clear he's putting the work in. He's putting thought into his presentation. Think on how he was on the mic when he first started to now. Just like, I think this guy will be a world champ one day.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's deserved, because I thought this is pretty fun. Not nowhere near one of the top matches of the week, but still just the novelty of seeing this on a WWE pay-per-view was pretty cool.
I love what he's been doing with this character. I think he's become one of the more popular parts of WWE in the last year or two. And like, people love to hate him. We talked about how him winning the IC title, people, even though we love to hate him and boo him, we flipped as soon as he won, because we're like, it's great that you won this IC title. And I think this is still just scratching the surface. I think there's still room for improvement in his wrestling, but like, I don't necessarily think this was a blowaway match or anything. Like, he's not Kenny Omega or anything, but he still is improving. He really is stepping up. Like, he has done it, and I do see him putting in the work. And I think also just the character stuff. The camera flashes his face, and people want to boo this guy. And I think you can't just teach that. You can't learn that. And so far, it's working for him.
You know what would be really cool and would be kind of beautiful? Like, I expect when Ray decides to hang up the mask, I imagine his retirement match will be against Dom.
100%. We said it, mask versus hair, right? Like,
but if you ever wanted to, if Dom's ever at the level and you're going to have him world title match at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Ray and Dom, final two, and Ray just hugs him and jumps over the top rope. It would be beautiful. He gives his son his WrestleMania moment. How lovely would that be?
I keep calling him Lucha Royalty or the Prince of Lucha, and like he'll lean into that, and he kind of is already. But it's the deadbeat dad stuff that even beyond TV, he leans into so much. And like what was it, like my dad's such a deadbeat. Like, I wanted a BMW, and he got me a
He does it in podcasts where he's coming across as a really nice guy, where he's like dropping the character, but will still call his dad like a deadbeat piece of shit.
I think he's gotten better and better, and just people really appreciate it. I like this match, but I don't think it got anywhere too crazy. But shout out Octagon Jr. too. He was pretty flashy.
We then go to Lyra Valkyria taking on Becky Lynch in the third match, I guess, of their series, with Lyra winning in NXT and at Backlash. This one with Braden. Is something going on with your mic? It's like drumming a lot right now.
Sorry, I turned my fan on. I'll turn it back off.
Oh, okay. I think is it rotating? I think just
yes, it is.
Just push it one way. It's just blowing into the mic.
No worries. I turned it off. It's hot.
Yeah, it is. Sorry. But yeah, this was the stipulation. If Becky Lynch loses, she can't challenge Lyra for the IC title again. But if Lyra loses, she has to raise Becky's hand. Some good near falls in this match. We had like an avalanche, what's it called? Manhandle slam from Becky with a big near fall. I don't know. I'd say I preferred both their Backlash and NXT match to this.
Really?
Match.
I think I disagree. I think I like this one more than both those matches, actually. Yeah. I don't know what it was. Something about it. The presentation, I thought both looked like the gear was good from some of the wrestling here. We had Becky hitting all sorts of, like, she's playing the heel, but the crowd are still treating her like the star that she is, right? Like, so people are still kind of behind her. But I like some of the wrestling in this. They were really going at it. Lyra, especially like a doctor bomb in here. There was some really cool like offense and some creative wrestling moves that they were both hitting. I know we've been following and watching way too much old John Cena for our Champ is Here podcast series, but the John Cena Batista SummerSlam neck Batista bomb spot,
right?
Like, you know what I'm talking about? They did that in this spot as well, but they clearly are friends. They clearly mesh really well. I think they have really good chemistry, and Becky winning by cheating makes me think that we'll eventually go back to this match. But actually, I really got into this. I love Becky, and I think the Becky Balboa as a heel, it's kind of hard because you kind of want to like her. It's kind of like the Dominic Mysterio, like the cool heels thing is a problem always in wrestling, because as soon as you're like, oh, I like this guy, but I love to hate them, but I like them too. So I think that's the problem.
It's really difficult when the baby face isn't completely established yet. And like the crowd are definitely warming to Lyra, but it's just in this situation, you have so many people that go to these WWE shows just to see the stars. And it doesn't matter if Becky is a heel or a baby face. They're going to pick a Becky over a Lyra. These two have great chemistry. Like all their matches have been pretty good so far, and I don't think the story's over. Yes, it's technically 2-1, but if we're counting main roster, it's 1 apiece. I imagine we're getting Bayley in the mix eventually, but I see that being the Evolution match. I think Becky and Bayley have never really had a big one-on-one match, like with a big heated feud. So I see that being Evolution and maybe SummerSlam if you're doing a series there. But I see maybe Lyra Becky part 3 in Saudi, do you think?
Oh, true. When is that? In like a month or so?
That's in a couple of weeks. It's end of June.
Yeah, I do see them rematching this one more time. The stipulation is pretty funny, though. That added to it for me. You have to raise my hand. And the commentary, Pat McAfee and Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, great team, by the way. They are so funny together. But they were acting as if like, oh my God, she has to raise her hand. Do you know how disrespectful? Do you know how they're treating it as if like this is the most god-awful thing this woman has had to do in her career?
It's the fact, though, isn't it? It's like if it was just a handshake after, whatever. But it's the fact Becky's gloating. Becky won with like cheating. She pulled the tights and all that. So, and Lyra then strapping her up and hitting the German suplex. So, yeah, we're definitely getting one more here, and possibly the next one being where Bayley interferes at the end to kind of help Lyra.
Yeah, you could go Bayley versus Becky is definitely happening, whether it's Evolution or SummerSlam, and then maybe like a triple threat somewhere in there too. But yeah, I like this match. I think women's wrestling is really, really having a good, strong year. 2025 year of women's wrestling for sure. This was a pretty fun match, and I like the finish of Becky making her pose in all 4 corners. Like no, all four sides of the ring, and then finally like the attack. So I do think that we'll go back to this at the Saudi show. But going back to Wade, Pat, and Michael Cole. So during Lyra's entrance, the dun 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 woo dun 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 woo, Wade was trying to do it, but he kept doing it off beat, like he was off the part where you're supposed to do the woo. And he's asked about rhythm and how like Brits don't have rhythm, and he's like, "Oh, come on, Brits have Beatles, Rolling Stones," and he starts listing all these British things, and then he's like, do you think he like pauses and he's like, do you think Mr. Iguana is a fan of Karma Chameleon? And then it was just like this awkward pause, and then you could just hear them all laughing. And I stopped my feed. I paused my show. I was like, yeah, that was fucking
Who's
good.
that, Wade?
I think it was Wade, yeah. You could tell like they were having the conversation, and then he stopped, and then it clearly like clicked in his brain, and then he said it. And I was just like,
it happens when we're doing shows. I'll get a joke in my head, and I'm like, am I going to say it or not? I often bite my tongue, and I'll tell you off air because it's not always appropriate. But it's but he's like, oh, this is cheesy, but I got to.
Karma chameleon. But I'm looking forward to see where we go with Becky as this heel IC champ. But the man is still so popular with the crowds that it might be hard to like really establish. Like Bayley, I don't think Bayley is necessarily going to help that. Bayley's pretty boring and bland. Yeah. Like as much as we like her, dislike her sometimes, Becky is just so much more exciting. Becky seems like, like the Dominic Mysterio heat isn't working because we just want to keep cheering you because you're the cool heel, but we'll see.
Yeah. We then go to our men's Money in the Bank match with LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, and El Grande Americano.
I'll tell you how bad things have gotten for me. When this match started and the entrances hit, for about 5 to 10 seconds, I was asking myself, who the fuck is this guy in the Minecraft mask? Oh, it's Andrade. Oh, yeah, he's in WWE. Oh, shit, he's in this match?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Wow. I legit did not know who he was for the first 10 seconds. And then I went, oh, man, I forgot he's even back in this company.
Such a weird career, this guy, because it's exactly the same as his first run. It's exactly what happened in AEW. Like, I'm sure he'll disappear from TV and we'll get vignettes promoting his return again soon. It's weird, but he did feel like the odd one out in here. Mm-hmm. Like, we've been big fans of Andrade in the past. He's very talented, but just something hasn't clicked.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Lot of some cool spots in this match, but a lot of interference. You had the Seth Rollins guys, Bron Breakker, which they missed the spear to El Grande on the. It was one of the ones down the aisle, which looked awesome. We just caught the end of it, and they didn't really replay it either. But that was cool. Bronson Reed taking out everyone as well, hitting tsunamis, and then leading to, let me get this right, JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu coming out to clear the pack as well, allowing Solo Sikoa to climb the ladder, and then Jacob grabbing his ankle. I hate you, Solo, and hits him with the super kick. There was a moment I thought like there was probably my favorite spot of the match was El Grande Americano climbing from the outside up the turnbuckle.
Oh my God.
Tipping on the ladder that's set up in the corner to then join, was it Penta, I think, up on top of the ladder. That was great. But eventually...
that was nuts. So he uses a ladder to like climb onto the ring post, then uses another ladder from there to climb up. And then as he's doing that, like a cat, like a monkey here, LA Knight does his run up the ladder, like the almost Shelton Benjamin, Kurt Angle, like a cat again, and hits that huge like back suplex off the.
I thought he was going to do it on the ladder, which I was just like, oh God. But
so this is where I was talking about earlier, like Chad Gable's arm was like really taped up. And I think they knew, okay, you're going to take this huge spot off the top. And he used it to like soften the blow because it is so high up there. But yeah, this spot got LA roaring. They were losing it. One of the biggest pops of the whole night was this sequence where Grande runs up not one but two different ladders, like it's the old school Donkey Kong game here, almost just insane, just crazy. I want more. I want to see more of that. Like that's some American Gladiator type shit.
There was also a pretty funny moment where there was just this, I don't know if the belt was higher than usual, but there was this small ladder, and a couple of times you saw someone set it up and just be like, fuck.
Shit. Well, then, we're glossing over the fireball ladder, which we saw the promo earlier where they're like, hey, get me the fireball ladder. And they're like, what's that? Cinnamon whiskey? The official shot of bad guys? Great. I didn't know that was their slogan, but they should go with that. I'll tell you, you do a few shots of fireball, you turn into a bad guy, is what we learned from experience.
And Bronson Reed just completely destroyed that ladder throwing it over. And that's where, when Jacob is meant to help Solo, they set up one ladder and he starts climbing. He's like, no, this one's tiny. It's like, which one's still intact? Okay, grab that one.
I don't know what it was because, there was a few of these ladders. I think there was 2 of the fireball ones, and those ones are tall enough for that you could actually grab it. But when the briefcase there, the Cash App Money in the Bank briefcase is hanging, they also have that clip on it as they call it the carabiner.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that word, I'm like, is it offensive? I don't know what that word means, but it's like a clip. it just sounds like it is.
Clip.
Yeah, no, I know. It sounds offensive.
I just think of Ribena. I think of blackcurrant juice when I hear it. But yeah.
No, I don't know. I just always love when people are talking about a carabiner. The other day, I'm saying is that it just sounds offensive. The other day, which I think is more offensive, one of my friends is like, have you ever noticed, my friend being a lesbian, who was like, do you ever notice lesbians just love carabiners? And I was like, in my brain was like, what the fuck is a carabiner? And my brain went to a whole other million different things that I learned. It's just a clip people have on their belt buckle sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. So they had a giant one up here for the Cash App briefcase. And I just thought when they heard that word, I was like, carabiner.
Maybe it's to do with the Intuit. I did feel the briefcase seemed higher than usual.
Yeah.
Because normally these smaller ladders still get to it, but then they often like to get the big ones. But yeah, eventually it's as we predicted, Seth Rollins winning the title. We have the finally the breakup of Solo and Jacob. So I'm all for that. Get that feud done and dusted. We can have a cool match with Jeff Cobb and Jacob Fatu. We don't need to see the Solo match. Just have Cobb take his place instead. But I'd be happy to get that feud, I guess, done. It'll probably peak at SummerSlam. And now let's, after SummerSlam, put the rocket on Fatu and just have him running shop. But
I love this match a whole lot more than the women's opening Money in the Bank. There was so much chaos. The Penta Canadian Mexican Destroyer on the ladder was absolutely crazy. We mentioned Grande running up twice, LA Knight running up as well. I think it was done, put together really well. The only nitpicking thing is Solo and JC come out to fight for multiple minutes only for Jacob to turn on him. But it's no, I wanted to do it so that you knew I screwed you. So I get that and everything. But
they also, in doing that, they teased once again Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu, which always gets, this is the third time they've done that now, always gets a mega reaction. But also on the other hand, it was teasing JC Mateo and Bronson Reed as well, which I can't, did they have a match in that G1? I'm trying to remember, possibly. But yeah, so that from it. Yeah, I thought this was really entertaining. I think it's the right move, Seth Rollins winning this. And
I love again going to Michael Cole, Wade Barrett on commentary. So the camera at one point cuts to Grande Americano with what is it, the piece of metal that he loads his mask with?
That's right, yeah.
And when it cuts to him doing this, Michael Cole is talking earlier about how he saw on Wikipedia that Chad Gable is in fact Americano Grande, because when you click Grande, it links you to Chad Gable, and then you have Pat McAfee and Corey Grave just roasting Michael Cole, oh well, Wikipedia says it's real, then oh well, it must be. Don't get everything you don't believe everything you read on the internet to be true, right? And they're ribbing him on this. But then when it cuts back to the clip of Gable with the piece of metal, it's Wade who's oh no, he's just he's just taking some medicine. It's a patch for his what is antihistamines. It's antihistamines. He's putting in his thing. And Michael Cole's like, oh, would you shut up? I wish you took some histamine on your tongue so you would shut up. And I just thought these guys were having such a ball. Michael Cole, since Vince leaving WWE,
he's been great.
So refreshing. And to me, this run alone makes him like, he's already going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he totally deserves. But Michael Cole is a completely different human being since the Call of Vec era. And Wade, Pat, and Michael Cole, the three of them were fucking having me dying.
I genuinely enjoy listening to them now, where it used to just grate on me. Like going back doing those Cena shows, like listening to Matt Stryker, and it's so awful to listen to, and it's so refreshing to hear it now.
He's so entertaining. He's so funny. He's really trying to go off about Chad Gable and the boots, and then Wade and Pat. Like it's classic wrestling meets like the modern. Their commentary really good.
There's another little detail I really enjoy with this El Grande Americano character is his singlet on the back is like an inch higher than his Chad Gable tattoo, so it covers his tattoo, and I think that's great. And I hope they're looking through all their WWE IDs, all their LFG, all their PC talent, and just trying to find someone with the closest body type to Chad Gable because you got to do the fake out reveal at
Twin Magic,
point, right?
You have to, you eventually have to have like Fred Flintstone. They got to be at the same place at the same time. And when we do, like someone will be revealed. And I think you could get a Los Conquistadores moment where someone pulls a fast one on Chad pretending to be him so that, when we get that route. But I thought Chad Gable stole the whole day on Saturday. Like from both shows, he was in the both best matches of both shows. Like
absolutely,
he stole the show for Money in the Bank with that run up the ladder twice. And he stole the show at Worlds Collide. So, one of the best doing it. But I think the highlight for Money in the Bank was this ladder match. It got a little contrived with Fatu and all that, but it was well done. And Fatu, what was it? The Umaga style pop-up Samoan drop on Bronson.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. Like, that's a big boy. Shout out Umaga. That move is crazy. Always gave it to my creative wrestler. But, I really like this. And then Seth wins. And this isn't there was no CM Punk.
No.
Interesting.
Whether it's I see, like, I do think the cash-in's happening tomorrow. It's Gunther and it's Jay. Jay's already beaten up from the main event from tonight, so he's going to be going in hurt. Whether you have Seth do the same thing he did last time, making it a triple threat, or they could even cause the DQ with Reed and Braun that leaves them both battered up. I don't think I'd have Jay beat Gunther first, and I don't think I'd have Gunther win. I think you've got to have either a DQ finish, double count out finish, or something before the cash in, because Gunther, I don't think Gunther should be losing again to Jey Uso, know, and I think you can protect Jay with just being beaten up after this match and then going into a Gunther match.
No, I think the crowd were cheering for a few moments in this match where you think Seth was going to win. I like the finish. LA Knight is still so over. Like at one point I'm like, fuck, just give it to him. But it just makes more sense with this gimmick of Money in the Bank. But Seth should cash in, if not tomorrow, like we've kind of been saying. SummerSlam is 2 nights in the stadium at Jersey. Seth versus Punk one more time in a stadium main event, I think, is the move for SummerSlam, or because I don't know if we're too far away from like Cena and Punk, right?
I think you do Seth v Punk for the world title at SummerSlam. Cena Punk you can get to later in the year, I think, especially if a draft's coming up and switch the champions around, put the world heavyweight on SmackDown and Cena on Raw.
Yeah, so I mean, Seth should be champion pretty quickly, I think, is where we're going. He was the only one I think that I truly believed was going to win this.
And then we had our main event, John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Now, I wasn't looking forward to this match. I thought it was built horribly. It feels like this was meant to be John Cena and Travis Scott, and maybe they've decided, maybe we'll back off from the Travis Scott thing and we'll just insert other celebrity who can wrestle better with Logan Paul in there. So I didn't go in with too much interest. There were some fun moments in this match. I thought the superplex drone spot was pretty good. The moonsault through the announce table was pretty good. You can hide Cena a little bit more in these tag matches, but the big news is R-Truth returning and costing Cena the match, causing Cody to have a pin over John Cena, and the baby faces winning this one.
People over there, what's up? So right away, I'm like, was this all a work? Was this all like part of the plan, or did they realize a lot of people were buying that shirt? Maybe we gotta bring our truth back. Maybe we did him dirty, and people are realizing that we did, and we need to fix this. So I'm not necessarily caught up on all the schematics here.
From what I tried to catch up, like I just finished watching Money in the Bank about 10 minutes before us doing the show, and I read like Fightful's report, which it does seem that this wasn't a work, and apparently like Truth's release was actually done in a pretty shitty way. It wasn't from one of the like top brass reaching out and talking to him. It was quite like just formal, and it actually took Nick Khan reaching out to Truth to get him back. Morale has apparently been very low since his release, so it does seem like it was just, TKO admitting we fucked up here and bringing him back. So I'm not completely caught up. I like literally read that article just before coming on here, but it seems like he was. I mean, his contract is still technically not up yet. I think there were 2 weeks left, I believe, and he was released a week ago.
So I imagine he's re-signed.
I assume he's re-signing. They're like, sorry, and after that, probably got a nice bonus on top of it. Sorry for firing you. Please come back.
Yeah, I believe it wasn't a work. I believe that it was just genuinely like a bit of blowback. You heard some chants, "We want truth" during Worlds Collide. You heard it during some of the matches on Money in the Bank as well. So you could tell people really were like upset, I guess, by this. And there's still some story there with the whole R-Truth and Cena. I guess we're going to go back to this match. We're going to get this match again, whether this is the Saudi match that we're going for, or I don't know, SummerSlam is necessarily big enough for it. But the last one was like, people didn't even count that necessarily. So, or rate it. So like, I didn't necessarily love this match. I'm not into the Cena story. I'm not really feeling Jey Uso. Cody feels like he's just kind of playing the part and filling in for what they want him to do here. Logan Paul, he's still fun to hate. Like, he gets wrestling, but then he's still just, I can't necessarily get too invested or entertained. And it was his social media. The guy's done a lot of shitty things in WWE, outside of WWE, on social media. But I'll tell you where it finally, he went too far for me. Social media. I don't know if this was from his show that he's got on HBO or whatever, but it shows him practicing the moonsault, the springboard moonsault that he does in every match. The one move that people are like, look, see, he is a good wrestler because he can do a moonsault. And in this video, he's explaining that I do this moonsault and everybody thinks I'm a good wrestler, but I'm not the first one to do it. Like, I didn't create this move, but there used to be this other guy that used to do it, and like some dude used to do it, and he would be caught by a bunch of people. And it shows clips of Super Crazy doing the moonsault onto people, and he keeps calling, some dude. I'm like, no, that's not some dude. That's fucking Super Crazy. Right, so all the things this guy has done, that's the worst. And I can't pretend to be invested in a Logan Paul, John Cena tag match. I just couldn't. But the truth, there was some cool stuff. The drone stuff, never seen that before. He does come up with some cool, creative, innovative stuff, but are we going to go to Logan Paul versus Cena down the line? Like, I don't care about that. So, like, it was just WWE being WWE for me. And then bringing back R-Truth was weird. I don't know.
It was a treading water match, wasn't it? It was like, we don't have a serious feud yet for Cena, so let's just tide it over with this thing. I do have the Fightful article here. So credit to Sean Rossap and Fightful for this, but a few quotes from this is that they were told by sources that Killings actually ignored many of WWE's approaches during the week until Nick Khan took over and called Killings personally to work out a new deal, and that the deal was a meeting halfway situation. So that sounds like a pay cut to me, I guess. And one talent who worked with Truth for a decade said that Ronnie wouldn't do that. If he had to maintain a work like that, he'd just ask us not to say anything. He wouldn't lie about it. And I think that Levesque also knows that lying to or work in the locker room is horrible taste. Triple H apparently claimed that R-Truth's departure and appearance was part of the show, and a number of talent reached out to outright claim the opposite. And Truth's son, Christopher Killings, posted a cap in response to the claims of it being part of the show. And then another veteran saying, I can tell Hunter doesn't like it. He doesn't like the fans hijacking creative.
Right.
So it seems like, was a legit release, and then all the backlash. Clearly, there was reports earlier in the week of talent being told that they can't wear R-Truth shirts. There was the picture of Rhea Ripley in her segment with Vaquer wearing her sports bra because earlier in the night she was spotted wearing a Ron Killing shirt and all that kind of stuff. So it seems that they've kind of, TKO maybe realized that they kind of fucked up here with Truth and brought him back.
What about The Miz? The Miz still there? That. Still is The Miz still part of WWE? I have seen him post that. Looks like he is
for now.
Yeah.
Will there be the uproar from talent backstage with The Miz?
Don't know about that.
Lars making a good point here, and it's kind of stuff we've talked about. TKO learning that WWE isn't a sport but a TV show after all, and the audience likes their guys no matter their age or limitations. I mean, that's something I keep drumming on about. If I'm we recently, both of us just watched White Lotus and really enjoyed the show. Can you imagine if in episode 5 that Walton Goggins just isn't in it anymore and he's not mentioned? It's just acting like this character never existed. You'd be like, sorry, what? I've been following this guy's story for 4 episodes and now he's just not in it with no mention. It's so bizarre, and you don't do that in TV dramas, soap operas, whatever. Yet in wrestling they think they can get away with it, and it is insulting to your fans.
Absolutely.
Even if it's R-Truth has gone home to his home planet or whatever, just something to. And I think someone who's been in the company as long as he has, you have Triple H inform him months ago that we're not planning to do this, but we'd like to give you a big send off. We're going to give you a Cena match. We're going to let you bow out on your own terms or whatever. But it's good that they've, I guess, learned their lesson.
Yeah, I think it's weird that they cut him just because, especially the popularity. He's such a lovable character on screen and seems that way off screen. So they've turned this situation hopefully into money, and that's what matters to them. So they're going to turn this into a storyline.
He's the Drake Maverick of 2025, isn't he?
Right? Wow, forgot about that guy. That was a bit different. That guy was crying on social media and then got his job back. But Truth didn't do that. But yeah. Not my favorite show from WWE. I can't say I've been loving the product, but I didn't hate this show by any means. Even that main event, I didn't hate it. It had a cool surprise with R-Truth, right? That's a cool thing. You definitely did not expect that to happen. And I think even though it was wrong for them to get rid of him or whatever, they turned around and switched up, which they don't always do, right? They just usually go forward. They'll be like, fuck it. You're mad at us that we fired R-Truth. How would you like Big Show in the main event? We could have got way worse stuff instead of them maybe going back and doing what was right. So we'll see where we go with R-Truth and Cena. Can't really say I'm that excited about it, but this whole thing maybe gets some more interest into that story. It makes it a bit more juicier.
So it's whether we see a bit of a character change from Truth, because I'm just trying to look this up now.
I mean, he was in the hoodie trying to hide himself, and he looked a bit different.
He looked more like Ron Killings than R-Truth did, didn't he? He had more of an edge to him.
Knuckle up.
I don't think we're going to have another Cena R-Truth match. We really shouldn't. But being part of the story here and maybe helping Cody down the line. I'm with you. I came into this show with, normally I'm the person higher on WWE than you. I'm normally, half glass full when it comes to it, but it has been really stale recently, and there hasn't been a whole lot to grab onto. They've still got a lot of talent there. So when it comes to these shows, like the matches I wouldn't say there was a bad match on this show. I was into some more than others. But it was still a bit of a forgettable show, I'd say. And I really hope things start picking up with SummerSlam coming up. We've got Night of Champions next, where they announced it's going to be King of the Ring with the winners of, I think they've announced Queen of the Ring as well, with the winners of the tournament challenging the champion at SummerSlam. So that's cool. So some actual stakes attached to this tournament this time round.
So winner of the tournament finals in Saudi, and the winner gets a match at SummerSlam main event. I guess CM Punk won't be main eventing one of the nights.
True. Although, I mean, he can still, there's 2 titles for both sides, but.
Okay, so you're saying Seth cashes in on Cena, and
no, I mean, you can have Cody win King of the Ring.
And
face Cena. Or I think the King of the Ring winner will be Cena, and I think you are getting Punk.
You mean Cody?
Seth.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. No. I think the winner of the King of the Ring will challenge Cena, whether it's Cody or someone else. I think it's Cena's opponent. A bit of a change this year. They're doing the first round as 4 sets of 4 ways, so 16 people in the tournament, and then a semis and a finals. I'm going to say what I say every year. You've got so much WWE TV. You've got so many people on your roster. I'd love to see them attempt a 32-man tournament. You can do it you're still doing tapings of main event. You can have Tozawa versus Rusev or whatever in a first round on main event and actually add some stakes. Have a NXT talent in there. Have some King of the Ring matches on NXT. Build it up over a month, and then once you get to your final 8 and your semis, then you've got your serious people. But I'd love them to just attempt something bigger than, a 3-round tournament that they want to do.
Yeah, I can't say it sounds too exciting. The Saudi shows are not usually the best either. And I haven't been loving it. But again, the Triple H beating his drum of, oh, look, high gates. We just sold so much money at the Intuit Dome, and we took all your fucking money and this and that. And I'm just.
Was there a presser for this?
There was, yeah. And that's where Triple H, I think, was saying some of that stuff you mentioned, R-Truth and all that. So. I didn't hate this show as much as I thought I was going to hate it, but I still didn't like it. So I liked the men's Money in the Bank match. I totally got into that. Yep. I totally agree.
Becky Lyra was good.
Yeah. So there you go. Worlds Collide easily cleared Money in the Bank, I think, today on Saturday, June 7th. But it's both WWE shows, so they win regardless. But there you go. 2 WWE shows. The wrestling never stops. They got more dates to come with double shows, triple TKO shows in one day. How much do you love that? How much do you love spending the beginning of summer was this weekend, essentially, for here. And I had to watch 2 pay-per-views back to back. Fucking great times.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Spread them out and put them on a fucking Sunday, please.
Sunday pay-per-view gang right here.
Yeah.
Please. Sundays is for the wrestling. Don't do it Saturdays. You're out with your family. You're going out, enjoying the summer, get some ice cream, see your family, say hi to your grandma, your grandpa, your uncles. Don't be sat at home for 7 fucking hours watching wrestling on a Saturday when it's beautiful out. Don't make me do that. I'm a sicko. I'm somewhat on the spectrum. Of course I'm going to watch wrestling, but don't make me ruin my weekend in the summer by making me watch it, because I will, but I might want to watch it on delay. And that's what I did this week. So they've announced the Saturday night's main event, the same day as Great American Bash, and the next day is Evolution. So that's 3 shows right back to back in 2 days, the all-in weekend. Jeez. So that's a whole lot. And then it looks like down the line they've added some more stuff. So come on, that's just too much.
I might just stop watching wrestling. I might get a hobby.
Fuck. Although I was at some friends the other week and they loved the F1.
Yeah,
they were getting so.
You're not convincing me with F1.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was like,
John and Wade try on their show. It's
nah, not gonna work. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a cars guy.
Yeah. I like the real shit, the real drama in wrestling.
Well, before we get out of here, there was also just happened to be a little 4-hour show that happened on Wednesday with AEW Fyter Fest. I don't think we necessarily need to go through every single thing. I'll start with my overall thoughts on the show, and then we'll talk maybe, I guess, Kenny Okada. But I was really disappointed with this. There was some good stuff on this show, but I thought this was just, it felt so thrown together. I hated how you just had mid-card or lower mid-card matches just set up on the show for later in the night. A lot of it reminded me of, you know, when a match was set up, and that'll be this Friday on Rampage, and you know it's on the taping after Dynamite for the audience there. But I just thought, if you go back to some of the AEW Grand Slams we've had, when it was a Dynamite Grand Slam and a Rampage Grand Slam, you had stuff on those shows like Sting and Darby versus FTR, and on the second, like it was packed. Like the whole card across the two shows was packed, and I just thought this felt. They only really announced what the Moxley Mark Briscoe match and the 4-way, and nothing else. And I just found it really lazy. There was good stuff on the show because you got great wrestlers on the show, but just a spontaneous Lio Rush Will Ospreay match. Tell me the week before, like, make this feel like it's a pay-per-view on free TV, and it didn't. It just felt to me like a Dynamite followed by Collision.
That's what it felt like to me. It felt like Dynamite. They packed the first 2 hours with some of the good stuff, the main 4-way match that they really teased you with, and then the rest of the show was a lot of the characters and wrestlers on the Saturday Collision shows. And I don't necessarily always watch it, or when I do, I don't necessarily always like Collision, but it's still wrestling, and this week didn't necessarily hit for me. And having a 4-hour block when you're tuning in and you're seeing certain characters that you're like, oh, okay, all right, and then certain characters that they're trying to get over with the cross promotion, CMLL and stuff like that. Again, I love it. It just felt like they didn't put enough into this. However, they have put some time into like promos the last few weeks, including some of the stuff this week where like they're really pushing some of the like story of like Moxley.
I'm fine with that. Like I've been back to enjoying Dynamite. Like the seesaw has like changed again for me because they have been focusing on story and WWE less so. So I'm all for Hangman come out, cut a promo. I'm thinking back to that first Grand Slam we went to, and we knew the entire card like before going, right? And this was just, it was so much of like, you know, now Commander comes out to challenge the Hurt Syndicate, and it's like, okay, like good. There was good stuff on the show, but it felt inconsequential, and I think they should have really just taken the opportunity to make this feel like a free pay-per-view, and it really didn't.
It didn't feel like that at all. There was some good stuff, but no, it didn't. I liked Moxley and Briscoe. I liked the stuff with MJF and the Hurt Business. That's pretty fun. But some other stuff it didn't necessarily. Oh, I mean the 4-way, the Kenny, Brody, Claudio, and Mascara Dorado. That was pretty crazy. There was some back and forth with the 4 of them. That was good. But ultimately, we knew Kenny was retaining because it leads to, I guess, the biggest story coming out of this is we're getting it. We're getting the match. Okada, Omega, Part 5 in Texas. And I mean, this was kind of reported for the last few months and heavily teased towards that they would be fighting one more time. And call me a sucker, but this was enough for me to go, Davie, you want to go to Dallas? You want to go? Because we saw them leaning in this forward and like, hey, I really love their last matches, whether you're fans of them or not, or fans of them anymore or not, I don't know. But I'm not looking for this match to top their older matches, but I have an opportunity to see this match live. I want to see it. I want to see it live. I'm really excited about it. And I hope they can deliver even a sliver of what they have done in the past. So I am really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, for me, this was the most exciting part of the show. And I like, you know, there are some times with builds where it's like, I don't want to see any physicality until the match itself. I thought this one needed it here. Like we've had the stare down. We've had them both come out after each other's match and stare at them. I think the fact we just had a little bit of physicality here, neither were able to, I think Kenny went for the One-Winged Angel and Okada went for the Rainmaker. I thought it was enough, and it made it feel heated. It made Okada feel the most important he's felt probably since he took out Eddie on his debut. You know, he felt like a big star. This is a huge match, and my one little fear was the wording. The wording was winner takes all. The wording wasn't unification. Please unify these fucking belts. Like, I don't want it to be Kenny wins and is defending them separately and eventually drops one to Gabe Kidd or whoever. Like, no, let's unify these titles. Let's make it feel, and then establish this securely as this is the number 2 title. This is just a notch below your world heavyweight title. But titles and all that aside, we're getting Kenny Okada again, and I thought they did a great job on Dynamite this week. And
they're promoting a contract signing, but there's also going to be a video that's like shows history from all their previous matches in New Japan and stuff like that. The original Wrestle Kingdom match is a match that I think sparked a lot of people's interest in. Oh, WWE is not for me, but there's a whole world of other stuff going on, and like that's the match that ultimately, made Kenny Omega. Obviously they were famous before, but like this was the match that people go back to. And then that whole series, it's one of the most famous rivalries in wrestling, and it didn't take place in WWE. It has nothing to do with WWE, and yet people rate it so highly and talk about it so much. And like I am one of those people. The first time I watched Kenny Okada, I felt like a revelation. It was like the first time I heard the Beatles. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like there's a whole world out there, and I'm definitely excited about this. And I'm hoping that it can live up to the hype, because there is so much hype behind these matches that like you're gonna have the naysayers like, oh, the magic's gone, or oh, they're washed, or this or that. I don't believe that at all. I think both of them are still at the top of their game. Okada, obviously, this run might not be what we were expecting, but I think Big Kaz is gonna pull out the big match, and Kenny's been on fire since coming back with this year. So I am really looking forward to this match. And again, selfishly, we did book our trip because I was like, fuck it, I want to see this match. I want to go see it. And I'm in. I'm really invested to see this one more time. I think this will be the last time. I don't think they'll ever fight again.
It should be.
I don't think they'll ever fight again one more time. And this has inspired us. We do a show called Best Match Ever. And oh boy, this is going to be a long one. If you thought we're going long today, wait till you hear Best Match Ever. Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada. We will be doing it in a few weeks.
I'll book a week off work now. Yeah.
We're going to be doing the show, watching all of their singles matches to build up for All In a few weeks. We'll be doing this podcast on our Patreon. So excited to go back and watch some of these matches because they definitely hold up. But yeah, super excited about that. Super excited about AEW karaoke that we're not going to go to. But if you're in Texas, I mean, that just sounds like fun. That sounds like it's a party made for me. But yeah.
I think another criticism for Fyter Fest was, I believe there was only 20 minutes of women on this show in a 4-hour block, which is just not really acceptable. And I would say that they've done a pretty good job building that division. But when you hear, obviously there's so much tribalism in wrestling, and you're getting, why would Mariah May take a pay cut to work in the Performance Center? Well, it's things like this why Mariah May would take a pay cut to work in the Performance Center. Like 4 hours of TV and 20 minutes of women's wrestling isn't really acceptable. And they have been, they've done a good job over the last year getting your Statlanders, your Jamie Hayders, your Willows, obviously your Mercedes, your Tonys. Like there's a bunch of top women stars now in your company. And to just have that amount of time was pretty bad, I thought.
Yeah, I noticed we had the one match per 2-hour block, right? Like 2 shows, but it's one show. So really it's just 2 women's matches. I didn't necessarily, I noticed the one per, but I am invested in the Tony Storm Mercedes. So I didn't necessarily notice it, but I totally, looking now on paper, it's like, oh yeah, there only was one per 2 blocks of 2 shows essentially. Over.
But you could have had a Mercedes match on this show. You could have had Mercedes was sat ringside watching Tony defend her title last week. It should have been the other way around, with Tony watching Mercedes in a third match. That would have felt bigger than having Cruz come out or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it did feel like a bit of a collision. However, I'm looking forward to what's this week is Swerve versus Ospreay
2. Yeah.
I mean, we were saying just last week, hey, is this going to be the match added to All In? And I think this being added signals that the tag match is the All In match.
You would think that, but then remember, we've had so many times Adam Cole versus MJF on TV before the Wembley match. We had Ospreay MJF on TV before the Wembley match.
So you're saying we're getting this at All In?
I'm not sure. Like, if I would, it's one of those things. I would prefer the singles match at All In, but then what do you do with the Bucks?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe it's the Bucks interfere in this match. Like, do we get a schmoz with this one, and that sets up your Bucks versus Ospreay and Swerve?
The big reveal is going to be like at the WrestleMania last 5 minutes of WrestleMania 40, where everyone's going to, all the Death Riders are coming out. We're going to get all the run-ins for people to try to help Hangman win, and Swerve will be the one who comes out, and you're not sure if he is going to end up helping Paige, and he will, and that'll get a huge reaction. I think that is definitely something they're going to go towards. So maybe maybe Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks is the right way to go. Because also that match just sounds, that is a sick match.
That will be great.
That sounds awesome to me also. So like, yeah, a little like there's all these different things that they could do, but All In is definitely shaping up to be a really strong looking card, and finally treating All In like it's supposed to be, like your WrestleMania, like it's supposed to be.
Each year they're building it better, I think, right?
Yeah. And tickets have moved. I we always follow WrestleTix on Twitter for all the wrestling tickets and stuff, and like it looks like that they moved some more tickets in the last little while. So I think you were saying, I was saying, hey, 20,000 is probably where they're going to sit at, and you were saying 25. I think it's looking like it'll be 25 to 30,000 people. Some fans wait also during the day, so I hope some people show up for this show. You want that crowd to be loud and proud for AEW. So. I'm looking forward to that show this week. Ospreay and Swerve too. Really looking forward to that.
If you build like you did in Wembley last year, if you build a nice big stage with a long ramp in there as well, big video screen, like you get 25, 30,000, like that place will look packed and it will sound great as well. Yeah.
Looking forward to Dynamite. Is it 4 hours this week as well?
4 hours this week as well. Yeah.
Oh my God!
What is it,
I do want to watch that match though. I am looking forward to that match. Swerve and Ospreay too. Maybe if you're watching, maybe I'll try to watch that with you.
We actually have. Oh, they've announced a lot more for next week. We've got Ospreay versus Strickland. We've got the Hurt Syndicate versus Speedball Commander and Kevin Knight
with MJF.
With MJF. We've got Kyle Fletcher versus Anthony Bowens, Timeless Tony Storm versus Julia Hart, Mystico versus an opponent to be determined. And MJF said if Mystico impresses, he'll face him at Arena Mexico for the AEW Grand Slam. So that's pretty cool. Tekla versus Queen Aminata. Always happy to see Queen Aminata on Dynamite. And Megan Bain and Penelope Ford versus TJ. So I guess I learned the lesson. 3 women's matches next week and 7 matches actually announced. So and Ospreay Swerve as your main event. That sounds pretty good.
So you know what? That's crazy because the week after is the Grand Slam Mexico show in Arena Mexico, and that show is going to be great. Like they haven't announced anything, but I imagine that'll be pretty awesome. A bucket list for me is to go to that venue for some lucha, and if they should, that sold really well for them. You'd imagine they'd announce pretty quickly that they'd be going back there with the CMLL. But yeah, things are cooking for AEW again. It feels good. As much as what did Will Ospreay say? AEW sucks right now.
You're the reason AEW sucks right now.
And then you could tell he's like,
oh fuck.
Shouldn't have said it that way. But we know what you meant, man. Don't worry. There you go.
It was the "we're coming for you" face after, wasn't it? Like
shouldn't have said it that
Shivani
way.
There, like,
oh yeah, we suck, huh? Oh, well, maybe you should have beat Hangman. I lots of wrestling this week, but the wrestling never stops. If you're a sicko, you watch it all, and there's so much more that we didn't. I heard the Super Juniors finals match was awesome. I'm going to try to watch that this week as well, but there's a whole lot. And then plus the weather's getting nice. You got to choose to go outside and enjoy life or watch more wrestling. But obviously, I'm going to pick the wrestling eventually. But thank you for joining us if you made it this far. I know we went really long today.
We do have one super chat. Thank you very much, Jake from the Windy City, who sends us $6 and says, aside from the Truth return and Becky win, Money in the Bank was rather dull, unfortunately. I'm tired of Money in the Bank altogether. Hasn't helped anyone in several years.
I don't know. I would like to have like a big baby face win it and then them call their shot. Like we haven't had enough.
We haven't
of
had that for a long time.
Yeah, we haven't had enough of someone like if you know a big baby face wins and goes, okay, I'm not going to just cash in on you, but I want to face you in the main event of SummerSlam or something. And then the person, yeah, sure, okay, and then you do that because there's so many things you could do with Money in the Bank that they don't, but creatively they like to just go to the heel cashes in.
Yeah,
but it's just not as good of a moment when they finally do it. It's I don't know, it's kind of played out a little bit. So I understand what you're saying there. Thank you for the super chat, Jake, and thank you everyone for listening. Again, follow Poison Rana Pod, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Give us a follow. We do tons of other podcasts. Patreon.com/PoisonRana. We have so many different podcasts, movie reviews, wrestling reviews, and so much more. So give us a shot and check out all the other stuff. We'll be back this Tuesday right here on Post Wrestling to talk about all the fallout from Worlds Collide and everything going on in NXT. And yeah. Again, thank you everyone for hanging out with us this afternoon. We hope you're having a good summer, and we'll chat soon. All right?
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, worlds collided, and we appreciate it. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And shout out Mr. Iguana.
Ahoy!